Chapter 1242. Emo Qingyun had already expected Yuan Xie's questioning action, so he wasn't surprised at all. Senior brother Yuan Xie, that's not right. Are you the only one allowed to be lucky? Emo Qingyun replied indifferently when he saw Yuan Xie's displeased expression. He scanned the crowd and said, "After the Cerberus was severely injured, I happened to bump into him. I just poked him lightly and he died." When Emo Qingyun said this, he extended his index finger and made a gentle poking motion. Everyone looked bitter when they saw Emo Qingyun's action. They sighed in their hearts that Emo Qingyun was too pretentious. The Cerberus was a true immortal realm expert. No matter how serious his injuries were, he was not someone who could be killed with a gentle poke. Although everyone was depressed, they did not say anything. After all, they did not have any evidence to prove that the Cerberus was not killed by Emo Qingyun. Therefore, other than being envious of the fact that Emo Qingyun had killed the Cerberus, everyone could only feel envy. Yuan Xie was furious when he heard Emo Qingyun's quibble. He could tell that Emo Qingyun was mocking him. More importantly, while Emo Qingyun was mocking him, he was also using him as a reason to defend himself. This kind of action was really too ruthless. It was simply not leaving him any way out. Before Yuan Xie could refute, Qian Guangxuan smiled and walked up to Yuan Xie. He said sarcastically, "Junior brother Yuan Xie, are you such a sore loser? Seeing that your ranking has been surpassed by junior brother Emo, you immediately flew into a rage out of humiliation?" Slap. After Qian Guangxuan said this, everyone seemed to hear a crisp slap on Yuan Xie's face. Yuan Xie had just humiliated Qian Guangxuan with these words. Now that Qian Guangxuan was using the same method to retaliate, it was a slap to his face. Yuan Xie was speechless when he heard Qian Guangxuan's words. He did not know how to refute. He had no choice. After all, he was the one who had said those words. As the saying went, if you asked for a date, you had to finish it even if you had to hold back your tears. After slapping Yuan Xie's face hard, Qian Guangxuan smiled contentedly and turned to look at Emo Qingyun. Qian Guangxuan looked at Emo Qingyun with gratitude and nodded politely at Emo Qingyun. Looking at Qian Guangxuan's actions, he seemed to have developed a good impression of Emo Qingyun because he had mocked Yuan Xie. Seeing Qian Guangxuan's friendly gaze, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly and nodded politely in response. At this moment, Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan felt like they were drinking with bosom friends. Seeing Qian Guangxuan speak up for Emo Qingyun, the others naturally didn't dare to speak. They did not want to offend Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan because of this. Everyone was clearly aware that if Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan joined hands, Jizhua would be the only one who could suppress both of them. Since Jizhua did not express his opinion, they would be looking for trouble if they did. Seeing that no one was speaking, Niuxing smiled faintly and glanced at Emo Qingyun. Then, he said to the crowd in a clear voice, "Since no one has any doubts, then Emo Qingyun's killing of the true immortal stage Cerberus is considered a valid achievement." Emo Qingyun was in first place. Everyone was shocked when they saw Emo Qingyun's result. They looked at Emo Qingyun in a different light. He had never thought that the first place of this exam would not be Jizhua, nor Qian Guangxuan, nor Yuan Xie or any of the others. It was Emo Qingyun, who was ranked 23rd in the Ethereal Immortal Mansions test. This result was out of everyone's expectations. Jizhua frowned when he saw that his ranking had been surpassed. He began to look at Emo Qingyun seriously. Looking at Emo Qingyun from head to toe, Jizhua showed an admiring look and said, "I thought it would take you a while to compete with me, but it seems that I have underestimated you. Now, you are already qualified to compete with me. Thank you for the compliment." Hearing Jizhua's words, Emo Qingyun responded with a faint smile, then continued, "I hope the competition between you and me won't be as boring as the one between me and someone else, who only knows how to play some dirty tricks." After Emo Qingyun said this, Yuan Xie's face twitched and darkened. Naturally, he could tell that the person Mo Qingyun was referring to was him. Qian Guangxuan laughed out loud when he heard Mo Qingyun's sarcastic words. He patted Mo Qingyun's shoulder and said, "Brother Mo, don't worry. Brother Jizhua is an honest and upright man. He is not someone who can be compared with some random people. Winning with dirty tricks is nothing but a useless thing to do. I Jizhua don't care about it." Jizhua looked serious when he heard Qian Guangxuan's words. He threw a disdainful glance at Yuan Xie. Seeing Jizhua, Qian Guangxuan, and Mo Qingyun's actions, the others looked at Yuan Xie with sympathy in their eyes. Yuan Xie was so unlucky. He had offended Mo Qingyun and the other two. He would have a hard time in the future. Mo Qingyun, Qian Guangxuan, Jizhua, just you wait. Seeing Mo Qingyun and the other two's actions, Yuan Xie felt insulted. He gnashed his teeth in anger. However, he knew that the current situation was not in his favor. Therefore, he didn't argue with Mo Qingyun and the other two. Seeing that Yuan Xie didn't say anything else, they started to count the others' result. 2 days later, everyone's results were tabulated. In the end, Mo Qingyun won the first place and got the Eternal Longevity Immortal Pill. After Mo Qingyun got the Eternal Longevity Immortal Pill, the others also got the corresponding rewards. They were all grinning from ear to ear. After getting the rewards, they didn't stay in the chore hall and went back to their own residences. Brother Mo, let's compete again in the Misty Immortal Palaces test next month. After leaving the chore hall, Qian Guangxuan smiled faintly at Mo Qingyun and told him his thoughts. When Qian Guangxuan said this, Jizhua showed the same expression. He had the same thoughts as Qian Guangxuan. Hearing Qian Guangxuan's words, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and replied, "In that case, Brother Qian, you have to work hard. Don't let me surpass you again." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Jizhua rolled his eyes and said to Qian Guangxuan with a faint smile, "Brother Qian, Brother Mo got the Eternal Longevity Immortal Pill. After refining it, he can increase his cultivation by 100 years. By then, his strength will definitely improve greatly. You can't underestimate him." Hearing this, Qian Guangxuan was stunned and felt a wave of pressure. Chapter 1243. After parting ways with Jizhua and Chu Yunyun, Mo Qingyun returned to Qin Yun's residence with Chu Yunyun and Chu Yunyun. After returning to Qin Yun's residence, Mo Qingyun did not waste any time and directly entered the 5-directional pagoda. In this training mission, not only did he kill the versatile demon child and cripple one of the versatile Golden Peak's arms, but his relationship with Yuan Xie had also worsened. This made his situation in the Eternal South Immortal Palace even more dangerous than before. He had to increase his cultivation as soon as possible. After entering the 5-directional pagoda, Mo Qingyun took out the Eternal Longevity Elixir and swallowed it without hesitation. After swallowing the Eternal Longevity Elixir, Mo Qingyun felt a shocking medicinal power overflow from the elixir. Sensing the medicinal power escaping from his body, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest. He hurriedly refined and absorbed it. Under Mo Qingyun's refinement and absorption, the spiritual power in his body grew at a terrifying speed. Then, the aura emitted from Mo Qingyun's body also grew rapidly. The peak of the early 4th level of the Celestial Realm, the middle 4th level of the Celestial Realm, in the blink of an eye, 25 days had passed. At this moment, the aura emitted from Mo Qingyun's body finally reached a peak. The peak of the 4th level of the Celestial Realm. Sensing his current cultivation, Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious as he prepared to break through to the 5th level of the Celestial Realm. As Mo Qingyun tried to break through to the 5th level of the Celestial Realm, his eyes slowly turned blood-red and his body emitted a monstrous demonic aura. At the same time, a black figure emitting demonic aura suddenly appeared in Mo Qingyun's mind. "Don't suppress yourself anymore, kill to your heart's content." You have the blood of the demon clan in your body. Why don't you fall into the demonic path forever and become a peerless demon god in the future? If you stay in the celestial realm, once your secret is discovered, you will definitely be hunted down by the celestial realm. The one you love is also of the celestial realm. If you want to be with her, you have to completely break away from the celestial realm. Quickly fall into the demonic path. For a moment, bewitching voices appeared in Emo Qingyun's mind. This was Emo Qingyun's inner demon, an obsession that had always existed in his heart. He had always been worried that if he met Long Hanyan one day, what identity should he use to treat Long Hanyan? Were they from the immortal race? With Long Hanyan's identity as a member of the god race, the people behind her might not be able to tolerate Emo Qingyun. His identity as a god? Emo Qingyun might have the bloodline of the heavenly demon soul race, but he was not a true member of the heavenly soul devil race. When the time came, there would be even more trouble. Just as Emo Qingyun was hesitating, a white illusory figure suddenly appeared in his mind. The sea of bitterness is boundless. Repent and you will see the shore. The celestial realm is benevolent. As long as you abandon the bloodline of the god race, the celestial realm will wholeheartedly accept you. Emo Qingyun, it is impossible for you and Long Hanyan to be together. Long Hanyan is just a clone. Her consciousness will be erased sooner or later. And that Murong Qinyu is the same. Don't be stubborn. Abandon the bloodline of the god race and return to the celestial realm. Bewitching voices appeared in Emo Qingyun's mind again, disturbing Emo Qingyun's mind. Hearing the two voices in his mind, Emo Qingyun raised his head and let out a loud roar. His expression was one of confusion. Celestial realm or celestial realm? Where should he go from here? With a loud roar, Emo Qingyun's expression gradually calmed down. His face became cold and indifferent. He shouted angrily, "Get out of here! I, Emo Qingyun, will decide my own life. I don't need you to interfere with me." As soon as Emo Qingyun's words fell, he released his soul power and bombarded the black and white illusory figures in his mind. Bang, bang, receiving Emo Qingyun's overbearing bombardment, the black and white illusory figures were immediately defeated and slowly dissipated in his mind. Emo Qingyun, you will definitely regret it. The celestial realm is not your best choice. Emo Qingyun, you are stubborn. You will definitely be punished by everyone. Before the black and white illusory figures dissipated, their faces were filled with resentment as they spoke. In response to the words of the black and white illusory figures in his mind, Emo Qingyun revealed a look of disdain. He snorted coldly and said, "Heaven and earth are heartless and treat all things as straw dogs. Before the heavenly Tao, the celestial realm and the celestial realm are nothing but straw dogs that offer sacrifices to the heavenly Tao. I, Emo Qingyun, will jump out of this world and grasp my fate in my own hand." When Emo Qingyun said this, his body exuded an air of arrogance, giving people a feeling that he was unwilling to submit to heaven and earth. After defeating the black and white illusory figures in his mind, the aura emanating from Emo Qingyun's body immediately rose to a new level. Emo Qingyun's cultivation base had successfully broken through and entered the 5th level of the celestial realm. After breaking through to the 5th level of the celestial realm, Emo Qingyun did not stop cultivating. Instead, he continued to cultivate and stabilize his current cultivation base. Subsequently, time passed by unknowingly as Emo Qingyun cultivated. After another 5 days, Emo Qingyun exited from his cultivation. After these 5 days of cultivation, his cultivation base had completely stabilized. Not only that, but Emo Qingyun's cultivation base had also risen to the peak of the 5th level of the celestial realm. I didn't expect to spend an entire month just to refine half of the eternal longevity immortal pill. Recalling the time spent cultivating this time, Emo Qingyun could not help but sigh. The power contained in the immortal pill was too great. One had to know that with the assistance of the time shift formation in the 5-directional small pagoda, Mo Qingyun had actually cultivated for 20 months. After sighing in his heart, Mo Qingyun did not continue cultivating. He stood up and said, "Previously, I made an agreement with Senior Brother Ji and Senior Brother Qian to compete with them in the Ethereal Immortal Palace's assessment in a month's time. It's time to head to the Ethereal Immortal Palace first." As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he prepared to leave the 5-directional small pagoda and head to the Ethereal Immortal Palace. However, before Mo Qingyun left the 5-directional small pagoda, he went to check on the cultivation progress of Mo Zai and the others. After more than a month of cultivation, 1/3 of the 3-headed hellhound's corpse should have been successfully refined by Mo Zai. After refining 1/3 of the 3-headed hellhound's corpse, Mo Zai's cultivation base had risen to the peak of the 5th level of the celestial realm. She was only a step away from entering the heavenly immortal realm. Such a cultivation speed was truly terrifying. However, Mo Qingyun was secretly delighted by this situation. In this way, he would have another powerful helper when he fought against enemies in the future. After learning about Mo Zai's cultivation progress, Mo Qingyun did not stop walking. He then checked on the cultivation progress of He Xian and the others. Apart from Xie, who had just broken through to the celestial realm, He Xian, Iron Wing, and Savage Beast's cultivation bases had all reached the 4th level of the celestial realm. Chapter 1244. After coming out of the 5-directional pagoda, Mo Qingyun left the Qingyun residence and headed towards the ethereal immortal abode. About 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun arrived at the entrance of the ethereal immortal abode and saw Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan in front of the crowd. When Mo Qingyun saw Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan, the two of them also saw Mo Qingyun and walked towards Mo Qingyun with a faint smile. "Junior brother Mo, if you didn't come, Senior Brother Ji and I would have thought that you were afraid of losing and didn't dare to come." Walking up to Mo Qingyun, Qian Guang's son revealed a bright smile as he joked with Mo Qingyun. "Because I was a little late for cultivation." Mo Qingyun gave a simple explanation to Qian Guangxuan's joke and asked curiously, "Senior Brother Ji, Senior Brother Qian, have you taken the Ethereal Immortal Abode assessment?" "Yes, we have completed the assessment." When he heard Mo Qingyun's question, Qian Guangxuan nodded indifferently and said to Mo Qingyun, "Junior Brother Mo, hurry up and take the test. We still have to accompany Senior Brother Ji to the Western Immortal Palace later." "Senior Brother Ji is going to the Western Immortal Palace? Why?" Mo Qingyun was puzzled by Qian Guangxuan's words. He didn't understand the meaning of Qian Guangxuan's words. Seeing that Mo Qingyun didn't understand Qian Guangxuan's words, Ji Qiong organized his words and explained to Mo Qingyun, "My cultivation has broken through to the Immortal Core stage, and I have been promoted to an inner disciple of the Immortal Palace in advance. Therefore, I have to report to the Western Immortal Palace immediately." Senior Brother Ji's cultivation has broken through to the Immortal Core stage. After hearing Ji Qiong's words, Mo Qingyun was surprised by Ji Qiong's increase in cultivation. After a short moment of shock, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and congratulated Ji Qiong, "Senior Brother Ji, congratulations on your advancement and promotion to an inner disciple of the Immortal Palace. I believe that it won't be long before the two of you become inner disciples." Hearing Mo Qingyun's congratulations, Ji Qiong didn't show any arrogance. He smiled faintly and said, "Junior Brother Mo, you go take the Ethereal Immortal Mansion test first. When your test is over, the three of us will go to the Western Immortal Palace together." "Alright." Upon hearing Ji Qiong's words, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more time and immediately walked towards the entrance of the misty immortal abode. A short while later, when Mo Qingyun arrived at the entrance of the misty immortal abode, Yuan Xie had just walked out of the misty immortal abode. He glanced at Emo Qingyun arrogantly. Humph. Yuan Xie glanced at Emo Qingyun and snorted coldly. He lifted his head and walked out of the crowd, as if he was disdainful of Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun did not pay any attention to Yuan Xie's actions. It was as if he was treating a clown. Yuan Xie's exit from the misty immortal abode meant that there was no one left for the core disciple test. Emo Qingyun could enter the test immediately. Emo Qingyun didn't hesitate and walked straight into the misty immortal abode. Emo Qingyun walked into the misty immortal abode. The guardian of the first test on the first level quickly appeared in front of him. When the guardian saw Emo Qingyun, he smiled faintly and greeted Emo Qingyun. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly in response to the guard's greeting. Then, he directly attacked the guard's mental projection. In the face of Emo Qingyun's tyrannical attack, the consciousness body guarding the checkpoint hadn't even been able to withstand a single move before it had been defeated. Emo Qingyun's footsteps didn't stop as he directly entered the second stage of the first level after killing the intent body guarding the first stage. The result was still the same. Under Emo Qingyun's tyrannical attack, the mental projection guarding the second stage of the first level was also instantly killed. In the blink of an eye, several hours later, Emo Qingyun once again arrived at the fourth test on the third level. Last time, he was stopped here. He was killed by the Guardian, which ended the test of the misty immortal abode. The peak of the early stage of the fifth level of the celestial being realm. I haven't seen you for a month, but your progress is amazing. Seeing Emo Qingyun arrive again, the Guardian was surprised. After saying something unexpected, he said, "If that's the case, I hope you can last a little longer this time. Don't make me unable to use my full strength." Hearing the Guardian's words, Emo Qingyun's expression darkened slightly. With a solemn expression, he said, "Don't worry. This time, not only will I persevere to the end, but I will also defeat you with a thunderous force." As soon as Emo Qingyun's words fell, he didn't say anything more to the Guardian and directly attacked him. Sealed door. Blood Qi rampage. Bloody fight to the end. At this moment, Emo Qingyun made a move and displayed 3 kinds of auxiliary magic skills without holding back. Under the bombardment of the Gate of Seals, the gatekeeper's mental projection was still helpless. His spirit and qi were immediately sealed by the tyrannical power. Then, the aura emitted by the Guardian fell from the late stage of Immortal Dew to the middle stage of Immortal Road. As the Guardian's aura weakened, the aura emitted from Emo Qingyun's body immediately rose by a large level. Immortal Fog Stage. Under the support of the 2 magic skills, Blood Qi Rampage and Bloody Fight to the end, Emo Qingyun's cultivation was directly raised to the Immortal Fog Stage. Heavenly Flames Sky-Breaking Halberd. Emo Qingyun's cultivation was raised to the Celestial Immortal Stage. Without the slightest hesitation, he immediately waved the Immortal Burning Halberd and swept it towards the Guardian. Under Emo Qingyun's halberd, the Guardian was directly sent flying and heavily hit the wall of the misty immortal abode. Golden Snake Flashing Halberd. After sending the Guardian flying, Emo Qingyun's attack speed didn't decrease. He continued to chase after the Guardian. Following that, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and disappeared from the line of sight of the Guardian's consciousness. Pucci. A moment later, when Emo Qingyun's figure appeared, he had already pierced through the Guardian's chest with the immortal burning halberd. After piercing through the Guardian's chest, Emo Qingyun's attack didn't stop. He continued to spin the immortal burning halberd quickly. Under Emo Qingyun's attack, the Guardian's body was instantly defeated and slowly dissipated in the misty immortal abode. After killing the Guardian, Emo Qingyun's footsteps didn't stop. He continued to move towards the third level's 5th level. After entering the third level's 5th level, Emo Qingyun didn't waste time talking nonsense with the Guardian. He directly waved the immortal burning halberd and started to kill him. After fighting for about 15 minutes, Emo Qingyun overbearingly killed the mental projection guarding the 5th level of the 3rd level. After killing the guardian, Emo Qingyun's footsteps didn't stop. He continued to move towards the next level. After a few more hours, Emo Qingyun finally arrived at the 4th level of the misty immortal abode under his unceasing slaughter. As soon as he entered the 4th level of the misty immortal abode, Emo Qingyun felt a terrifying aura suddenly shrouding towards him. This was the aura of an immortal core stage expert. Chapter 1245. Outside the ethereal immortal abode, on the ranking board. First place, Ji Qiong, level 4, first stage, time taken, 2 hours. Second place, Emo Qingyun, level 3, 10th stage, time taken, 2 hours. Third place, Yuan Xie, level 3, 10th stage, time taken, 3 hours. Fourth place, Qian Guangxuan, level 3, 10th stage, time taken, 3.5 hours. Both Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan were surprised to see Emo Qingyun's ranking on the Ethereal Immortal Mansion's assessment ranking list. Emo Qingyun had actually passed the 10th stage of the 3rd floor. Moreover, the time Emo Qingyun had used to pass the 10th stage was even shorter than Yuan Xie and Qian Guangxuan. It seemed that Emo Qingyun's real strength was above Yuan Xie and Qian Guangxuan's. Besides, according to Emo Qingyun's current trend, he was going to pass level 4. From level 4 onwards, the guarding level 4 will be at the Immortal Core stage. Can junior brother Emo pass it? Thinking that Emo Qingyun was going to fight with the Immortal Core stage's guardian, Qian Guang's son showed an expectant expression and said, "Senior brother Ji, if junior brother Emo can defeat the Immortal Core stage's guardian when he's only at the 5th level of the Celestial Realm, then once he breaks through to the Immortal Fog stage, won't he be able to challenge the entire Celestial Realm? If junior brother Emo can defeat the guarding Immortal Core stage, once he breaks through to the Heaven Immortal stage, he will be invincible in the Heaven Immortal stage." Hearing Qian Guangxuan's words, Ji Qiong nodded solemnly and said, "Whether or not junior brother Emo can do that will depend on his next battle." After seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Yuan Xie and the others, who were not far away, had extremely gloomy expressions. Emo Qingyun had even surpassed Yuan Xie in the ranking of the Ethereal Immortal Abode's assessment. After all, Emo Qingyun was only ranked at the 23rd position during the Misty Immortal Abode's test last month. Yet he directly charged to the 2nd position now. This kind of speed of improvement was a little too terrifying. He's ranked 2nd. Seeing Emo Qingyun's ranking, 100 Transformation Golden Peak and Yun Xing's expressions changed, and their eyes were filled with awe. They knew very well that if they met Emo Qingyun again, they probably wouldn't be as lucky as last time. "Senior brother Yuan Xie, we can't let Emo Qingyun continue to grow. This is how he surpassed me back then." Looking at the situation before him, the Golden Mountain of 100 Transformations immediately felt a sense of familiarity. It was as if he had seen the scene when he was surpassed. Hearing this, Yuan Xie's face darkened even more. Killing intent radiated from him as he said, "The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. This Emo Qingyun is too flashy. Someone will definitely take care of him. I'll go ask the senior brother of the Western Immortal Palace to take action." As soon as Yuan Xie finished speaking, he turned and left, heading towards the Western Divine Palace. While everyone was paying attention to Emo Qingyun's ranking, Emo Qingyun stood in the first trial of the 4th level, facing off against the mental projection guarding the trial. The peak of the early stage of the 5th level of the Celestial Realm. Interesting. Sensing Emo Qingyun's cultivation, the spiritual body guarding the 1st level of the 4th level looked at Emo Qingyun with interest and said, "Counting the time, it has been nearly 100 years, and no one in the Celestial Being realm has come here. I hope you won't let me down. It just so happens that I also want to see the strength of an Immortal Core stage cultivator. Give it your all." Hearing the Guardian's words, Emo Qingyun's face was filled with anticipation, and a terrifying battle intent was released from his body. Blood Chi Berserk. Fight to the end. After Mo Qingyun released his battle intent, he no longer hesitated and used two of his superpowers to increase his strength. Very quickly, the aura emitted from Mo Qingyun's body reached the level of middle stage immortal fog. A divine ability to increase one's cultivation base? Sensing the increase in Mo Qingyun's aura, the guardian's spiritual body showed a surprised expression, and the interest on his face became even stronger. I didn't expect you to have such a skill. Now I want to fight with you even more. Sealed door. Mo Qingyun didn't respond to the guardian's words, and used the sealed door without hesitation. A mini version of the light door quickly formed in front of Mo Qingyun, and turned into a stream of light that blasted towards the guardian's spiritual body. Facing the attack of the sealed door, the guardian's spiritual body curled his lips in disdain, and casually punched the sealed door, saying, "This kind of superpowers can't hurt me. You'd better show me your real strength." As soon as the guardian's spiritual body said those words, his expression immediately became shocked, and he looked at Mo Qingyun with his eyes wide open. Under his punch, the sealed door actually went through without any damage, and the attack didn't decrease at all, and it blasted into his body. Before the guardian's spiritual body could calm down, something even more shocking happened to him. He found that after he was hit by the sealed door, his body and divine soul began to be sealed. After a while, the strength of the guardian's spiritual body fell from the early stage of the immortal core stage to the late stage of the immortal dew stage. A divine ability to seal one's cultivation base? Seeing that his cultivation base was sealed, the guardian's spiritual body suddenly looked shocked, and there was a bit of fear between his eyebrows. His cultivation base fell to the late stage of the immortal path, and the cultivation base advantage between him and Mo Qingyun was no longer so obvious. Heavenly Flame's sky-breaking halberd. After sealing the cultivation base of the guardian's spiritual body, Mo Qingyun's hands didn't stop moving, and he directly waved the immortal burning halberd to cut him. A terrifying power of flames, like mountains and rivers, gushed out from the immortal burning halberd, and turned into a fire dragon halberd light that blasted towards the guardian's spiritual body. Immortal technique, Black Ice Shield. In the face of Mo Qingyun's halberd, the guardian's spiritual body didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless, and quickly made a hand seal. Immediately after, a terrifying chill gathered at an extremely fast speed, turning into a shield with a Tai Chi pattern in front of the guarding mental clone. Bang! The fire dragon halberd light blasted on the black ice shield, and immediately a loud sound was heard, creating a terrifying spiritual power storm. Under the sweeping of this spiritual power storm, Mo Qingyun and the guardian's spiritual body quickly retreated, and used their hands to resist the erosion of this spiritual power storm. Under the full bombardment of Mo Qingyun and the guardian, the spiritual power storm was dispersed, and Mo Qingyun and the guardian's figures appeared. Immortal technique, Heavenly Thunder Soul Devouring. After the spiritual power storm was dispersed, the guardian's spiritual body once again made a hand seal and pointed at the sky above Mo Qingyun. Immediately, dark clouds began to gather above Mo Qingyun, and there were flashes of rolling lightning arcs. Immortal technique again. Could it be that people in the immortal core stage begin to cultivate immortal technique? Seeing the guardian's spiritual body once again use immortal technique, Mo Qingyun's face showed a surprised expression, and a bold guess arose in his heart. Chapter 1246. Thunder rumbled and lightning bolts surged. Under the layers of dark clouds above, Mo Qingyun's vision became blurry. Glancing at the dark clouds above, Mo Qingyun simply put away the immortal immolating battle halberd and prepared to use his body to resist the lightning strike. He could feel that the lightning power of the guardian's immortal technique was not comparable to the lightning power of his tribulation. Since he could withstand the even more terrifying lightning might, how could he not be able to withstand the lightning might of the immortal art that was guarding the will body? Boom! Not long after Mo Qingyun put away the immortal immolating battle halberd, A lightning bolt as thick as an arm blasted down and directly struck Emo Chinyun. When the lightning bolt struck Emo Chinyun, it swallowed Emo Chinyun, making it impossible for others to see Emo Chinyun's situation. Seeing Emo Chinyun's performance, the Guardian's expression couldn't help but change. With a shocked expression, he said, "This kid actually withstood the immortal technique, soul-devouring heavenly lightning. I don't know if he can withstand it. If he can, I won't be able to stop him." As soon as the Guardian's voice fell, his expression became tense as he focused on Emo Chinyun's situation. A moment later, the dark clouds retreated and the lightning dissipated. Emo Chinyun's figure was revealed once again. Unharmed. Seeing Emo Chinyun's current appearance, the Guardian's expression immediately changed. His face was instantly filled with shock. While the gatekeeper's mental projection was in shock, he saw Emo Chinyun's exposed arm. His expression changed again as he said, "His body is as strong as a middle-grade immortal artifact. It turns out his body's strength has reached this level. No wonder he could resist the soul-devouring heavenly thunder." Seeing Emo Chinyun's physical strength, the Guardian's face was filled with shock. He was greatly shocked by Emo Chinyun's performance. Emo Chinyun didn't pay attention to the Guardian's shock. His figure moved and he waved the immortal immolating battle halberd. "Since you've finished your attack, it's time for me to return the favor." Under Emo Chinyun's stab, the immortal immolating battle halberd blossomed with a dazzling golden light, enveloping Emo Chinyun and the halberd. Under the cover of this golden light, Emo Chinyun's figure disappeared, disappearing from the perception of the Guardian's will body. Seeing Emo Chinyun's performance, the Guardian's expression immediately changed and revealed a look of surprise. The longer he fought with Emo Chinyun, the more he realized how extraordinary Emo Chinyun was, and how powerful his divine abilities were. Pucci. While the Guardian was still in a daze, Emo Chinyun held the immortal immolating battle halberd and pierced it into his body domineeringly. As the immortal immolating battle halberd pierced into the Guardian's body, Emo Chinyun's hands didn't stop moving and directly pierced through the Guardian's body. Seeing his body being pierced, the Guardian revealed a faint smile. He looked at Emo Chinyun with approval and said, "I didn't expect you to have mastered such a powerful ability. Congratulations on passing the trial. You let me win." Hearing the Guardian's words, Emo Chinyun raised his hand and pulled out the immortal immolating battle halberd. He turned around and walked towards the second trial of the fourth floor. After entering the second trial of the fourth floor, the Guardian's strength was still at the early stage of the immortal core realm. The difference was that this Guardian's strength was good at close combat. Emo Chinyun was very happy to see such a Guardian's consciousness. This was because this kind of primitive battle could stimulate his understanding of battle intent. After exchanging a few words with the Guardian's consciousness, Emo Chinyun didn't waste any more time. He took out the immortal immolating battle halberd and started fighting with his opponent. As Emo Chinyun fought with the Guardian's consciousness, his understanding of battle intent increased at a shocking speed. As Emo Chinyun's understanding of battle intent increased, the strength he displayed also increased. Could this kid be the reincarnation of the god of war? Why does he have such a shocking battle intent? Sensing the increasing battle intent on Emo Chinyun's body, the Guardian's consciousness revealed a shocked expression. He was quite shocked by Emo Chinyun's performance. At this moment, while the Guardian's consciousness was still in shock, Emo Chinyun's battle intent suddenly increased and entered a new level. The god of war transformation had broken through. After such a long period of continuous enlightenment, Emo Chinyun finally reached the third level of the god of war transformation. Following the breakthrough of the god of war transformation, Emo Chinyun's battle prowess immediately increased by almost 30%. Emo Chinyun's strength suddenly increased. The Guardian's consciousness, which was originally on par with Emo Chinyun, quickly fell into a passive state. In the end, the Guardian's consciousness lasted for an incense stick's worth of time before it was destroyed by Mo Qingyun's halberd. After destroying the Guardian's consciousness, Mo Qingyun didn't rush to enter the next trial. Instead, he sat down cross-legged and stabilized the God of War transformation's current level. Now that the God of War transformation had just broken through, Mo Qingyun's comprehension of the third level was still not complete. He had to re-examine it. Several hours later, Mo Qingyun finally comprehended the third layer of the God of War transformation under his wholehearted comprehension. After completely comprehending the third level of the God of War transformation, Mo Qingyun stood up and walked toward the third trial of the fourth level. The fourth level's third levels guarding mental avatar's strength had reached the intermediate immortal core realm, which was much stronger than the previous two levels guarding mental avatars. After a fierce battle, Mo Qingyun finally defeated it with great difficulty and successfully passed the third trial of the fourth level. After entering the fourth trial of the fourth level, Mo Qingyun didn't pass it in the end because the Guardian's consciousness was too strong. Mo Qingyun didn't care too much about this. He didn't feel disappointed because of this. Mo Qingyun knew very well that with his current cultivation base, he would definitely be stopped at a certain stage if he were to enter the ethereal immortal abode. According to Mo Qingyun's deduction, if he wanted to pass the trial of the ethereal immortal palace, he would need to be at least in the golden immortal realm. He was only at the peak of the early stage of the fifth level of the sky human realm. No matter how powerful his trump cards were, his strength couldn't be compared to a golden immortal realm cultivator. This time, I passed a total of 11 trials and even advanced the God of War transformation to the third level. This trip was worth it. Looking at the rewards of this trial, Mo Qingyun smiled with satisfaction. He turned around and walked out of the ethereal immortal palace. As Mo Qingyun walked out of the misty immortal abode, the people standing outside the misty immortal abode were all dumbfounded. The third trial of the fourth level. Mo Qingyun actually passed the third trial of the fourth level with his cultivation level of the early stage of the fifth level of the sky human realm. This kind of combat strength was just too terrifying. If this was the case, once Mo Qingyun's cultivation level entered the heavenly immortal realm, how powerful would he be? Senior Brother Ji, we seem to have underestimated Junior Brother Mo's strength. Looking at Mo Qingyun's results, Qian Guangxuan looked shocked and sighed. You're a genius. Ji Qiong also sighed when he heard Qian Guangxuan's words. He nodded and sighed. It seems like I have to take back my words. With Senior Brother Mo's performance today, I can no longer compete with him. Chapter 1247. Junior Brother Mo, congratulations on becoming the first among the new disciples. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who had walked up to them, Ji Qiong and the other man revealed sincere smiles as they cupped their hands and congratulated Mo Qingyun. It was obvious that the two of them were sincerely happy with Mo Qingyun's result. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and shook his head when he heard their congratulations. He replied to the two of them, I'm only first among the new disciples. There's still a huge gap between me and the inner disciples of the Western Celestial Palace. That's true. The weakest among the inner disciples have already reached the immortal core stage. We can't surpass them in a short time. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ji Qiong's expression became heavy and he felt a huge pressure in his heart. Although the three of them were the best among the new disciples, they were still toddlers in the entire Eternal South Immortal Palace. Seeing Mo Qingyun and Ji Qiong's heavy expressions, Qian Guangxuan couldn't help but smile bitterly and said helplessly, Senior Brother Ji, Junior Brother Mo, you don't have to be like this. Although there's still a gap between us and the inner disciples, we've only been in the Eternal South Immortal Palace for a short time. I believe that with enough time, we'll definitely surpass the inner disciples. Haha, that's true. Hearing Qian Guangxuan's words, Emo Qingyun and Ji Qiong smiled faintly and nodded in agreement. Qian Guangxuan's words were true. With their extraordinary talents, with enough time, it wouldn't be difficult for them to surpass the inner disciples. Alright, since junior brother Mo's test is over, let's go to the West Immortal Palace. After chatting with Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan for a while, Ji Qiong didn't want to waste any more time and said to Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan. After Ji Qiong finished speaking, he turned and walked forward, ready to go to the West Immortal Palace for the promotion. Seeing Ji Qiong walking out first, Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan looked at each other and hurriedly followed behind Ji Qiong. There was some distance between the West Immortal Palace and the East Immortal Palace. Emo Qingyun and the other two walked for nearly 15 minutes before they arrived at the West Immortal Palace. Upon entering the Western Palace, Missouri Qingyun discovered that the space within the Western Palace was much larger than that of the Eastern Palace. According to Emo Qingyun's rough estimation, the West Immortal Palace was at least 10 times larger than the East Immortal Palace. The two palaces were on completely different levels. The place where the new disciples report is at the easternmost side of the Western Immortal Palace. Let's go that way. Ji Qiong scanned the entire Western Immortal Palace and pointed to the east of the Western Immortal Palace, leading the way for Emo Qingyun. After a short while, a huge palace towering into the clouds stood before the three of them. This was the place where the inner disciples reported. Arriving in front of the huge palace, Missouri Qingyun and the other two did not stop and directly walked into the palace. Upon entering the huge palace, Missouri Qingyun saw many inner disciples handing in their missions in the main hall. It seemed that the palace also functioned as a chore hall other than a place for inner disciples to report. Standing in the middle of the palace, Ji Qiong looked around and found the place where the disciples reported. The disciples report there. Let's go there. Ji Qiong instructed Emo Qingyun and the other two and walked towards the place where the disciples reported. A new disciple was promoted to an inner disciple so soon. Seeing Ji Qiong walk up to him, the deacon in charge of disciple promotion looked at Ji Qiong with a surprised expression. As far as he knew, the time for a new disciple to be promoted to an inner disciple was usually half a year later. This time, it had only been 2 months and a new disciple had already been promoted to an inner disciple. This was beyond his expectations. After a brief moment of surprise, the deacon no longer hesitated and began to exchange items such as an identity token for Ji Qiong. Soon, Ji Qiong received an identity token and a jade-shaped item from the deacon. Wang Haiyuan, number 6. Seeing the words on the jade-shaped item, Emo Qingyun and the other two knew what it was for. It should be the key to a mansion. Knowing the use of the jade-shaped item, Emo Qingyun and the other two did not stay any longer and walked out of the main hall. When Emo Qingyun and the other two walked out of the main hall, Yuan Xie walked over with a group of people with a sinister smile on his face. Seeing Yuan Xie's sudden appearance, Emo Qingyun and the other two's expressions immediately turned serious and they became vigilant. Judging from the current situation, Yuan Xie and the others must have been waiting for them and did not come with good intentions. One of them is at the peak of the intermediate stage of Immortal Core Realm and 3 are at the early stage of Immortal Core Realm. When Emo Qingyun saw the 3 people beside Yuan Xie, he immediately released his soul power and secretly sensed their cultivation levels. After knowing their cultivation levels, Emo Qingyun's expression became much more relaxed and a faint smile appeared on his face. He muttered to himself, "Although it's a little troublesome to deal with them, it's not impossible to deal with them if I use my full strength." While Emo Qingyun was sizing up the 3 people, the peak intermediate Immortal Core Realm cultivator stopped Ji Qiong and said coldly, "You're called Ji Qiong, right? I heard that you're very arrogant in the East Divine Palace." "So what if I am?" Seeing the other party's question, Ji Qiong frowned slightly and asked back, unwilling to be outdone. Seeing Ji Qiong's reaction, Yuan Xie immediately sneered and reprimanded Ji Qiong. Ji Qiong, is this how you speak to your senior brother? Kneel down and kowtow to senior brother Lu He and admit your mistake. Scram! Hearing Yuan Xie's words, Ji Qiong's face darkened and he shouted angrily at Yuan Xie and the others. After Ji Qiong finished speaking, he didn't want to stay any longer and wanted to walk past Lu He. Ji Qiong was the #1 genius in the Tianwu Ancient Road and the #1 among the new disciples. How could Lu He humiliate him so casually? Although he was not as strong as Lu He, it was impossible for him to submit to Lu He. You're as arrogant as the rumors say. However, this is the West Divine Palace, and it's not the place for a newcomer like you to behave atrociously. Lu He looked ferocious when he saw Ji Qiong's arrogant attitude. He said coldly, Ji Qiong, don't say I didn't give you a chance. Fight me on the deity-slaying platform. If you can defeat me, I'll forget about what happened today. Alright. Hearing this, Ji Qiong didn't even hesitate to nod and agree. Senior brother Ji, you can't. Seeing Ji Qiong's reaction, Qian Guangxuan immediately became worried and tried to persuade Ji Qiong. However, Ji Qiong shook his head firmly in response to Qian Guangxuan's advice. Seeing Ji Qiong's reaction, Qian Guangxuan became even more worried and wanted to persuade Ji Qiong again. Chapter 1248. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Guangxuan no longer tried to persuade him. He knew what Mo Qingyun meant. Today, Lu He came to cause trouble for Ji Qiong. If Ji Qiong didn't do anything, Lu He would definitely cause trouble for Ji Qiong in the future. Besides Lu He, there would be others who would cause trouble for Ji Qiong in the future. Thus, today's battle was unavoidable. No matter who won or lost, Ji Qiong had to fight. Ji Qiong wanted others to know that even if he lost today, he would still have the ability to take revenge in the future. While Mo Qingyun and the others were talking, everyone's attention was drawn to them. Lu He is getting bolder. He even dares to provoke Ji Qiong. Isn't he afraid of Ji Qiong's revenge? Although Ji Qiong is very talented, his cultivation is still too low. I'm afraid he's not Lu He's match yet. If Ji Meng and the others hadn't died in Demon Ceiling Valley, Lu He wouldn't have dared to talk to Ji Qiong like this. Yes. If Ji Meng and the others were still alive, Ji Clan would be ranked in the top 5 in Eternal South Immortal Palace. Anyway, there will be a good show to watch later. I hope Ji Qiong won't lose too quickly. At this moment, everyone was looking forward to the battle between Ji Qiong and Lu He. Then, under everyone's gaze, Lu He and Ji Qiong went to the Immortal Slaying platform together. 15 minutes later, Mo Qingyun and the others came to the Immortal Slaying platform and watched Ji Qiong and Lu He go up. After Lu He stepped onto the Immortal Slaying platform, he revealed a sinister smile and narrowed his eyes at Ji Qiong. Ji Qiong, I didn't want to become enemies with you, but you shouldn't have gotten so close to Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun was stunned by Lu He's words. He didn't expect it to be because of him. After being momentarily stunned, Mo Qingyun glanced at Yuan Xie and understood what was going on. Seeing Mo Qingyun looking at him, Yuan Xie grinned sinisterly and said, Mo Qingyun, don't worry. After I deal with Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan, I will slowly deal with you. Looking at the smug Yuan Xie, Mo Qingyun's expression turned cold as he said in a chilling tone, Yuan Xie, let me tell you something. The fate of the 100 Transformations Golden Peak and the 100 Transformations Demon Sun will be a lesson for you. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yuan Xie's face twitched and he felt a sense of lingering fear. He was very afraid that one day, Mo Qingyun's strength would far surpass his. At that time, he would be able to kill him in a tyrannical manner. It was because of this that he was in a hurry to deal with Ji Qiong. He wanted to get rid of Mo Qingyun's right-hand man first. He was very clear that with their talents, once they grew up, they would be very terrifying. Yuan Xie calmed the panic in his heart and coldly snorted. He no longer paid any attention to Mo Qingyun. At this moment, on the immortal slaying platform, Ji Qiong and Lu He were already engaged in battle. For a moment, the two of them were evenly matched. However, anyone with a discerning eye could see that Lu He was not using his full strength. Instead, he was toying with Ji Qiong like a cat toying with a mouse. Even so, Ji Qiong began to feel powerless in the face of Lu He's continuous attacks and gradually fell into a passive situation. Seeing that Ji Qiong was being suppressed, Lu He revealed a sinister smile and said in a cold voice, "Ji Qiong, you can die honorably after receiving 100 of my moves." Celestial Technique, Thunderstone Descent. As soon as Lu He finished speaking, he formed a hand seal and quickly pointed at Ji Qiong. Then, dark clouds gathered above Ji Qiong. Like a downpour, huge boulders flashing with lightning fell from the sky. The lightning boulders fell at an extremely fast speed. Before Ji Qiong could react, they had already drowned him. A moment later, the place where Ji Qiong had been standing had become a small mountain of lightning flashing with threatening lightning bolt. Senior brother Ji. Seeing this, Qian Guangxuan immediately became nervous and rushed toward the top of the immortal slaying platform. Lu He revealed a sinister smile when he saw Qian Guangxuan rush toward the platform. Kid, though the palace rules forbid inner disciples from bullying new disciples, don't blame me for being merciless since you've taken the initiative to rush onto the immortal slaying platform. Celestial Technique, Earth-Shattering and Rock-Piercing. Lu He said coldly. Then, he unleashed another immortal technique and launched an overbearing attack at Qian Guangxuan. A huge gully appeared on the ground below Qian Guangxuan. Stone spikes flashed with cold light from the gully. Mo Qingyun was certain that Qian Guangxuan's body would be crippled if he was pierced by the spike. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and quickly rushed to Qian Guangxuan's side. Divine Earth Shield. Mo Qingyun came to Qian Guangxuan's side. He did not hesitate to use his martial soul divine ability to block Lu He's celestial technique attack. After blocking Lu He's celestial technique with the divine earth shield, Mo Qingyun grabbed Qian Guangxuan's shoulder and threw him outside the immortal slaying platform. Mo Qingyun knew that with Qian Guangxuan's mid-stage immortal dew cultivation, he wouldn't be of much use even if he stayed on the immortal slaying platform. On the contrary, if Qian Guangxuan was careless, he might die in Lu He's hands. Mo Qingyun had been willing to come out when Lu He attacked just now. Lu He really wanted to kill Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan. After recognizing Qian Guangxuan as the immortal slaying platform, Mo Qingyun looked at Lu He coldly and asked, "You can kill people on the immortal slaying platform?" Nonsense. The immortal slaying platform is naturally the battle platform for killing immortals. You don't even know this. Hearing Mo Qingyun's question, Lu He immediately sneered, as if he had heard the most idiotic words. Lu He glanced at Qian Guangxuan who had left the immortal slaying platform, then turned to Mo Qingyun and said, "Mo Qingyun, right? I was going to deal with you last, but since you're willing to die for Qian Guangxuan, you can't blame me for this." Mo Qingyun did not respond to Lu He's words. Instead, he punched the small mountain of thunder stones. Bang! Under Mo Qingyun's punch, the small mountain of thunder stones exploded, revealing Ji Qiong who was trapped inside. Ji Qiong's clothes were torn and his face was pale. His breath was extremely weak, as if he would die at any time. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun did not dare to hesitate. He quickly helped Ji Qiong to the edge of the immortal slaying platform. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Lu He's expression darkened. He sneered and said, "Boy, the immortal slaying platform is not your backyard. You can come up and down as you wish. Die with Ji Qiong." Chapter 1249. Divine Earth War Shield. Facing this attack, Mo Qingyun didn't even turn his head. He directly used the Divine Earth War Shield to block it. A golden shield quickly condensed behind Emo Qingyun and blocked Lu He's attack. After blocking Lu He's spear, Emo Qingyun handed Ji Qiong over to Qian Guangsun and said, "Senior brother Qian, take care of senior brother Ji for now. I'll go collect some interest on his behalf." As soon as Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he turned and walked to the center of the platform to confront Lu He again. Seeing that Emo Qingyun hadn't left the platform, Lu He was slightly taken aback. His expression revealed a touch of surprise as he sneered, "Brat, you actually didn't escape the platform. Could it be that you still want to fight me?" "So what if I do?" Emo Qingyun smiled faintly. There was a hint of mockery in his eyes as he asked, "Didn't Yuan Xie ask you to deal with me? Now I'm standing here. Isn't this what you want to see?" Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Lu He's smile deepened and said, "Boy, you know that I want to deal with you, but you still dare to stand on the platform. It seems that you're quite confident in yourself. But sometimes, overconfidence comes with a price. The same goes for you." Emo Qingyun's expression gradually turned cold. He raised his hand and took out the immortal burning battle halberd. His body exuded a strong battle intent. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance at this moment, the surrounding people were shocked. They all stared at Emo Qingyun with wide eyes. Who is this boy? A boy in the 5th level of the Sky Realm dares to talk to Lu He like that. I've never seen him before. He should be the same as Ji Qiong, a new disciple of this year. This boy is not simple. His potential and talent may be above Ji Qiong. This year's new disciples are very talented. He's really not simple. Even an early-stage Immortal Du disciple couldn't block Lu He's attack. Lu He was too impulsive this time. He offended Ji Qiong and the other two. The consequences are very terrible. At this moment, everyone looked at Emo Qingyun and Lin Fan on the immortal slaying platform and could not help but sigh. "Senior brother Ji, do you think junior brother Emo can defeat Li He?" Looking at Emo Qingyun on the immortal slaying platform, Qian Guangsun asked Ji Qiong for his opinion. At this moment, Ji Qiong was also nervous. After hearing Qian Guangsun's question, he said in a low voice, "Junior brother Emo was able to pass the 3rd stage of the 4th level of the ethereal immortal abode. His strength should be comparable to an intermediate immortal core realm cultivator. If nothing goes wrong, he should be able to fight against Lu He." At this point, Ji Qiong's expression grew even more solemn and he changed the subject. However, the strength of the will bodies in the ethereal immortal abode is slightly weaker than that of a real cultivator. Therefore, it's hard to say if junior brother Emo can defeat Lu He. While Ji Qiong and Qian Guangsun were talking, Emo Qingyun and Lu He began to attack. The sealed door had appeared. At Emo Qingyun's call, a quaint stone door of light suddenly appeared above Emo Qingyun, emitting a vicissitude aura. After Emo Qingyun summoned the light door martial spirit, it shone brightly and a mini light door flew out from it. The sealed door flew out from the light door martial spirit and turned into a stream of light, rushing toward Lu He at an extremely fast speed. "Kid, your magic treasure's aura is quite scary, but the power of its attack is too weak." Seeing the sealed door coming toward him, Lu He smiled disdainfully and mocked Emo Qingyun. Then, he hit the sealed door with his palm and shouted angrily, "Break!" A torrent of spiritual energy burst out from Lu He's palm and swallowed the sealed door in an instant. However, what happened next left Lu He dumbfounded. Under his full-powered palm strike, the sealed gate was not damaged at all and directly passed through his palm strike. How could this be? Looking at the sealed door that ignored his attack, Lu He's smile immediately froze and he looked a little panicked. The kid in front of him was a little strange and did not seem to be as easy to deal with as Ji Qiong. Puff! While Lu He was still in shock, the sealed door smashed into his body and began to seal his qi, blood, and divine soul. Under the suppression of the sealed door, Lu He's face gradually turned pale and his aura began to weaken. Puff! After a while, Lu He's heart was injured and he spat out blood because of the suppression of his chi, blood, and divine soul. At this moment, Lu He's aura fell to the late stage of the immortal dew realm. Feeling his cultivation falling, Lu He could not help but widen his eyes and look at Emo Qingyun in horror. You? What kind of celestial art is this? Why should I tell you? Emo Qingyun responded indifferently to Lu He's panicked words and charged toward him with the immortal burning battle halberd. Blood Chi Berserk. Invincible. While Emo Qingyun was charging towards Lu He, Emo Qingyun executed 2 great divine abilities in succession to increase his battle prowess. After a while, Emo Qingyun's aura reached the middle stage of the immortal fog realm. Looking at the scene on the immortal slaying platform, the surrounding people were shocked again by Emo Qingyun's performance. This kid has terrifying means. Not only did he master the divine ability to improve his cultivation, but he also mastered the divine ability to seal the enemy's cultivation. I didn't expect there to be such a monster in this year's new disciples. It seems that I have to pay more attention to him in the future. With this kid's talent, once he grows up, he may surpass those people in the immortal palace. Looking at Emo Qingyun's performance, the crowd immediately had a whole new level of respect for him, and their evaluation of him increased by several levels. Emo Qingyun's divine ability is so powerful. No wonder he could pass the 3rd test on the 4th level of the ethereal immortal mansion. Looking at Emo Qingyun's performance, Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan were also surprised. They finally understood why Emo Qingyun surpassed them. Under everyone's gaze, Emo Qingyun's figure flashed and quickly arrived in front of Lu He. Sky-breaking halberd of heavenly flames. After arriving in front of Lu He, Emo Qingyun did not stop and directly swept the immortal burning battle halberd at Lu He. A terrifying flame power erupted from the immortal burning battle halberd and engulfed Lu He in an instant. Immortal technique, Thunderstone Energy Shield. Facing Emo Qingyun's halberd, Lu He did not dare to be careless and immediately performed an immortal technique to defend himself. Then, a thunderstone armor formed around Lu He's body and firmly protected him. Middle point killing finger. Seeing Lu He's move, Emo Qingyun immediately blasted a finger at him, blasting out a finger light with monstrous devil might. The middle point killing finger was blasted out from Emo Qingyun's left hand. It penetrated the thunderstone armor and directly hit Lu He's chest. Then, Lu He was sent flying. Blood spurted out from his mouth and his face became extremely pale. Chapter 1250. Although Emo Qingyun's divine ability was out of everyone's expectations, they did not believe that Emo Qingyun could really fight with Lu He. After all, although Lu He's cultivation was partially sealed, he was still at the late stage of immortal dew, while Emo Qingyun was only at the peak of the early stage of immortal fog. There was still a small gap between the two of them, which could not be crossed easily. I take back what I said just now. As long as this guy breaks through to the immortal fog stage, he can dominate the whole heavenly immortal stage. Judging from this guy's performance, he is indeed invincible in the same stage, but I'm afraid he will have a lot of trouble in the future with his high-profile performance. That's true. The person in the immortal palace is not Yunxuan. Those who are a threat to them will grow up. At this moment, everyone had a rueful expression on their faces. They were worried about Emo Qingyun in their hearts. Junior brother Emo is so powerful. Yuan Xie offended junior brother Emo. This is his biggest mistake. Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Qian Guangxuan and Ji Qiong were surprised and looked at Yuan Xie with sympathy. In their opinion, offending Emo Qingyun was definitely the biggest mistake. If Yuan Xie could not get rid of Emo Qingyun would be his nightmare. Just as Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan had said, Yuan Xie's face turned pale when he saw Emo Qingyun's performance. He was scared. The strength that Emo Qingyun displayed now could already easily kill him. He was no longer on the same level as him. After realizing this, Yuan Xie could not help but feel regretful. He regretted bullying Mo Qingyun. On the immortal slaying platform, Mo Qingyun sent Lu He flying with a finger, but he did not stop and attacked Lu He with his halberd again. Golden Snake Halberd. With a stab, the immortal burning halberd shone with golden light and quickly enveloped Mo Qingyun. Then, Mo Qingyun disappeared from everyone's sight in the blink of an eye. Seeing Mo Qingyun's figure disappear, Lu He immediately widened his eyes and his expression quickly twitched, producing a strong sense of fear and uneasiness. He was sure that if Mo Qingyun secretly attacked him, he would not be able to block it. At this moment, before Lu He could calm his fear and uneasiness, a terrifying aura enveloped him. Pucci! A golden light flashed and pierced through Lu He's black stone armor, penetrating his chest. Soon after, blood flowed out from Lu He's wound and dyed his clothes red. Lu He could not believe it, he could not believe it. How? 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 After saying these words with difficulty, Lu He's soul left his body and fled out of the immortal slaying platform. Seeing Lu He's soul escape, Mo Qingyun quickly took out the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd and attacked in the direction of Lu He's soul, shouting, "Collect!" A black mist flew out of the Yin-Yang Sun Mother Gourd and quickly swallowed Lu He's soul, dragging it into the gourd. Lu He was dead. Even his soul did not escape. Seeing Lu He's fate, the respect everyone had for Mo Qingyun immediately rose to a new level. This junior brother with a low cultivation level did not seem to be a kind person. He did not show any mercy when he killed. Senior brother Lu He is dead. Seeing that Lu He's soul did not escape, Yuan Xie could not help but tremble. He looked at Mo Qingyun and shouted angrily, "Mo Qingyun, you killed a senior brother in the Immortal Palace. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the Immortal Palace?" Punishment by the Immortal Palace? Hearing Yuan Xie's threatening words, Mo Qingyun disdainfully curled his lips and retorted, "Yuan Xie, didn't you hear Lu He say that the immortal slaying platform is a place to kill immortals? What's the crime of killing him here?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yuan Xie was speechless. He did not know how to refute Mo Qingyun. He was very clear about the saying that killing on the immortal slaying platform was not a crime, but he had forgotten in a moment of desperation. Seeing that Yuan Xie was silent, Mo Qingyun's expression became colder. He exuded a murderous intent and said, "Yuan Xie, I'll tell you one more thing. The fate of the 100 changing Golden Peak, Lu He, and the others will be a warning to you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Yuan Xie could not help but tremble and his face turned pale. He did not want to follow in the footsteps of Lu He and the others. While Yuan Xie was panicking and feeling fear, a young man with a hooked nose walked to his side. He looked up at Mo Qingyun on the immortal slaying platform and said coldly, "Boy, don't think that you can speak arrogantly just because you have some strength. The people of the Yuan family are not people you can casually deal with." Hearing this, Yuan Xie's expression immediately changed. He was pleasantly surprised and said, "Brother Yuan Kong, you've come out of seclusion? Brother Yuan Mo has come out of seclusion?" Brother Yuan Mo is still in seclusion. He's preparing to break through to the true immortal realm. Hearing Yuan Xie's question, Yuan Kong smiled faintly and replied, "Yuan Xie, don't worry. Once Brother Yuan Mo's cultivation base breaks through to the true immortal stage, even the elders won't be able to protect this kid." Yuan Kong, Yuan Mo? Looking at the hooked-nosed man beside Yuan Xie, Mo Qingyun's expression became much more serious. He was a little wary of Yuan Mo. This Yuan Mo of Yuan Kang's mouth actually had the qualifications to break through to the true immortal realm. He was definitely not someone he could fight against now. More importantly, from Yuan Kang's words, they had an even more powerful Yuan family behind them. This was not a good thing. Looks like I have to be more careful in the future. If a true immortal realm expert wants to deal with me, I won't be safe even if I stay in the Immortal Palace. Mo Qingyun knew very well that if he was killed by a true Immortal Realm expert, the Eternal South Immortal Palace might not stand up for him. Offending a true Immortal Realm expert for a new disciple of the Heaven Realm. This was a debt that anyone would settle. At this moment, while Mo Qingyun was pondering, Yuan Mo suddenly moved and charged towards Mo Qingyun rapidly. He said coldly, "Boy, since you can kill Luha, your strength should not be simple. Let me play with you." When Yuan Mo charged towards Mo Qingyun, he also did not hesitate to throw out a palm, which exploded with a power that could split heaven and earth. The power of the Great Immortal Pill Stage. This Yuan Mo's cultivation was at the Great Immortal Pill Stage. He was much stronger than Luha just now. Sensing the power of Yuan Mo Qingyun's expression immediately tensed up. He quickly retreated to the edge of the Immortal Slaying platform. With his current cultivation, even if he used all his trump cards, he would not be a match for Yuan Mo. Chapter 1251. Scorching Sun. Divine Earth War Shield. When Mo Qingyun retreated, he executed 2 defensive divine abilities to block Yuan Mo's domineering palm strike. The moment the Divine Earth War Shield and Inferno Shield were formed, Yuan Mo's palm strike landed on them, creating a terrifying spiritual energy storm. Bang bang, 2 loud sounds rang out in succession. The Divine Earthen War Shield and the Raging Flame Shield immediately shattered upon receiving Yuan Mo's palm strike. However, with the Divine Earth War Shield and Inferno Shield's defense, 80% of Yuan Mo's palm strike's power was depleted. The remaining 2 palm strikes landed on Mo Qingyun and immediately blasted Mo Qingyun out of the Immortal Slaughtering platform, crashing into a mountain beside the Immortal Slaughtering platform. Bang! Under Mo Qingyun's collision, a large hole was smashed into the mountain peak, setting off a terrifying sandstorm. After seeing this scene, the expressions of the surrounding people froze as they nervously looked at the center of the sandstorm. Was Mo Qingyun still alive? Bang! At this moment, a loud noise came from the sandstorm under everyone's gazes. Then, a figure slowly walked out of it. The figure was Mo Qingyun, and he was still alive. Mo Qingyun was only at the 5th level of the Heaven tier, but he was still alive after receiving Yuan Mo's full-force palm strike. This was beyond everyone's expectations. Junior brother Mo, Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan were nervous when they saw Mo Qingyun walking out of the sandstorm. They quickly rushed towards Mo Qingyun. Mo Qingyun smiled at Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan. "Senior brother Ji, senior brother Qian, you don't have to worry. I'm fine." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan's expressions relaxed, and their hearts finally relaxed. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun walked to the front of the Immortal Slaughtering platform and confronted Yuan Mo on the Immortal Slaughtering platform. Everyone was shocked when they saw Mo Qingyun's performance. They did not expect Mo Qingyun to be unharmed. He's only at the 5th level of the Heaven tier, and he's actually unharmed after receiving Yuan Mo's full-force palm strike. This Mo Qingyun is too monstrous. After today's battle, Mo Qingyun's name will spread throughout the entire Eternal South Immortal Palace and be noticed by the upper echelons. I wonder if Mo Qingyun will be lucky enough to be taken in as a disciple by the Immortal Palace's elders. At this moment, everyone was very clear that no matter what the result was, Mo Qingyun had become famous in this battle. Looking at Mo Qingyun below the Immortal Slaughtering platform, Yuan Mo was shocked. He carefully sized up Mo Qingyun and said in surprise, "You're fine?" After Yuan Mo uttered those words of surprise, a cold smile appeared on his face. He said provocatively to Mo Qingyun, "Mo Qingyun, since you're fine, then don't dilly-dally. Come up and fight me." "Junior brother Mo, you can't." Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan were nervous when they heard Yuan Mo's request. They hurriedly tried to persuade Mo Qingyun. They were afraid that Emo Qingyun would impulsively fight Yuan Emo because of Yuan Mo's provocation. Senior Brother Ji, Senior Brother Qian, don't worry. Just a provocation is not enough to make me lose my mind. Seeing Ji Qiong and Qian Guangxuan's reaction, Emo Qingyun smiled faintly at them. Then, he turned to Yuan Emo and said, Yuan Emo, I've consumed a lot of energy in my battle with Lu Ha. When I recover, I'll fight you again. If you don't dare, then you don't dare. Looking for excuses is what a trash does. Yuan Emo seemed to have expected that Emo Qingyun would refuse. He immediately ridiculed Emo Qingyun when he heard this, and then he said, I originally thought that you had some courage, but I never expected that you're actually a cowardly piece of trash. You're truly too disappointing. Yuan Emo, do you think you can force me to fight you with such low-level provocation? You're too naive. Emo Qingyun was not to be outdone by Yuan Mo's mocking words. He retorted with disdain on his face and said, Also, don't you think it's shameful for you to challenge a person at the 5th level of the sky human realm with your peak immortal core stage cultivation? When Emo Qingyun said this, the expressions of the surrounding people immediately changed, and they began to point at Yuan Emo. This Yuan Emo is really too shameless. He's obviously taking advantage of his power to bully others. This Emo Qingyun is quite alert. He didn't lose his mind and fight Yuan Emo because of Yuan Mo's provocation. Today, if Yuan Emo can't get rid of Emo Qingyun, it'll be difficult for him to get rid of Emo Qingyun in the future. At this moment, everyone had different opinions about Emo Qingyun and Yuan Emo. When everyone was evaluating Emo Qingyun and Yuan Emo, Emo Qingyun had a solemn expression. He stared at Yuan Emo, who was on the immortal slaying platform, and said, Yuan Emo, don't be too anxious. After I become a core disciple, I'll naturally challenge you. I hope you won't run away at that time. After Emo Qingyun finished speaking, he ignored Yuan Emo and turned to Ji Qiong and Yuan Emo and said, Senior Brother Ji, Senior Brother Qian, let's go. Then, Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan supported Ji Qiong and left in front of everyone's eyes. Seeing Emo Qingyun and the other two leave, Yuan Mo's face immediately turned gloomy and his body emitted a strong killing intent. If it wasn't for the Eternal South Immortal Palace's rule that core disciples couldn't attack new disciples, he would definitely kill Emo Qingyun today. Seeing Emo Qingyun and the other two leave, the others did not stay any longer and left the immortal slaying platform one after another. After everyone left the immortal slaying platform, news about Emo Qingyun's battle spread quickly. Soon after, in a hall of the Eternal South Immortal Palace. This was the place where the people in charge of the Eternal South Immortal Palace discussed all kinds of important matters in the Immortal Palace. At this moment, the hall was filled with people. All of them had a joyful smile on their faces, as if they were discussing some great news. Everyone, I think all of you should know about Emo Qingyun's matter by now, right? After glancing at everyone in the hall, the palace master of the Eternal South Immortal Palace, Bai Kang, asked everyone with a faint smile. He continued, Emo Qingyun's cultivation base is at the peak of the early stage of the 5th level of the sky human realm, and he killed Lu Ha, a core disciple in the intermediate stage of the immortal core realm. The talent and potential he displayed is rare. Palace Master, you mean? Hearing Bai Kang's words, the Supreme Elder Wang Jianfeng frowned and asked for Bai Kang's opinion. After Wang Jianfeng's words, the others in the hall were curious as well. They wanted to know what Bai Kang's plan was. Chapter 1252. Hearing Bai Kang's words, everyone was surprised. They didn't expect him to value Emo Qingyun so much. Everyone knew very well that once Emo Qingyun became Shi Tongqing's last disciple, it would be equivalent to a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Of course, if Emo Qingyun wants to become the last disciple of old ancestor Shi Tongqing, he still needs to pass my test. Looking at the expressions of the people below, Bai Kang immediately understood what they were thinking. He explained his thoughts and said, "Recently, I found out from the Luo He Celestial Kingdom that there are some ancient god clan members wandering around the abyss of the Luo He Celestial Kingdom. Therefore, I contacted the East Dawn Celestial Palace and Frosty Celestial Palace, and decided to send a few disciples to investigate." Hearing Bai Kang's explanation, Wang Jianfeng and the others below looked at each other and understood how Bai Kang wanted to test Mo Qingyun. However, this test seemed to be a little too difficult for Mo Qingyun. They were very clear about the danger of the abyss of the ancient gods by the Demon River. It was definitely not a place that a celestial realm cultivator could go. After considering this, a supreme elder named Gu Tingyao said with a worried expression, "Palace Master, the abyss of the ancient gods by the Demon River is extremely dangerous. Wouldn't it be too dangerous to send Mo Qingyun to investigate the situation?" What if, hearing Gu Tingyao's concern, everyone in the hall nodded and agreed with Gu Tingyao's concern. Bai Kang seemed to have expected that someone would ask such a question. After hearing Gu Tingyao's question, he said with a solemn expression, "Since it's an experience, there will naturally be a certain amount of danger. If he doesn't experience any danger, how can he take on great responsibilities in the future? On the cruel path of cultivation, flowers in greenhouses won't go far." Hearing Bai Kang's words, everyone in the hall stopped talking and felt that Bai Kang's idea was reasonable. Then, Bai Kang and the others discussed for a while and decided on the candidates to investigate. They were Mo Qingyun, Qian Guangsun, and Yuan Xie. About 15 minutes later, Bai Kang's mission was passed to Mo Qingyun and the other two. After receiving the mission from Bai Kang, Mo Qingyun and the other two were extremely surprised. They didn't expect that the palace master would personally give them a mission. After receiving the mission from Bai Kang, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun did not waste any more time. They bid farewell to Ji Qiong and left the Eternal South Immortal Palace. When Mo Qingyun and Mo Wuji left the Eternal South Immortal Palace, they did not follow Yuan Xie. Instead, they left Yuan Xie behind. In Mo Qingyun's opinion, if they stayed with Yuan Xie, they wouldn't even have a chance to escape if Yuan Xie did something evil. Just as Mo Qingyun thought, Yuan Xie received Bai Kang's order and began to scheme against Mo Qingyun. At this moment, in Yuan Xie's mansion, senior brother Yuan Xie, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun are going to the Luo He Immortal Kingdom with you to complete the mission personally given by the palace master? Knowing that Yuan Xie was going out to train, Golden Face of 100 Faces and Yun Xing were surprised. Gradually, a cold smile appeared on their faces. In their opinion, Mo Qingyun's departure from the Eternal South Immortal Palace to the Luo He Immortal Kingdom was the best opportunity for them to get rid of Mo Qingyun. Seeing the two's reaction, Yuan Xie smiled sinisterly and said, "Originally, I was worried that I wouldn't have a chance to get rid of Mo Qingyun since he's been hiding in the Eternal South Immortal Palace. Now that the Palace Master has personally given me a mission, it's like sending charcoal in the snow. I'll go back to the clan now and ask the elders of the clan to go to the Luo He Immortal Kingdom and kill Mo Qingyun on his way there. Just to be sure, I'll go back to the clan and ask the elders to take action as well. We must make sure that Mo Qingyun dies a horrible death." Knowing that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to kill Mo Qingyun, Golden Face of 100 Faces and Yun Xing no longer hesitated and went back to the clan to ask their elders to kill Mo Qingyun. Now, Mo Qingyun was like a fishbone stuck in their throats. If they didn't get rid of it, they would never feel comfortable. After the two left, Yuan Xie also went to the Yuan clan to ask the elders of the Yuan clan to take action against Mo Qingyun. With that, a silent killing intent shrouded Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun. The Luo He Immortal Kingdom was quite far from the Eternal South Immortal Palace. Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun traveled for 10 days straight before they finally arrived at the Luo He Immortal Kingdom. When Mo Qingyun and Yun Xing arrived at the Luo He Immortal Kingdom, They went straight to the palace to meet the king of the Luo He Immortal Kingdom and ask about the situation of the Primordial Divine's abyss. After a short while, Mo Qingyun and Yun Xing arrived at the palace and found the king of the Luo He Immortal Kingdom. At this moment there were 6 other young people sitting in the courtyard of the king of the Luo He Immortal Kingdom, discussing with the king. Seeing the 6 people in the courtyard, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan exchanged glances and immediately guessed the identities of these 6 people. They should be disciples from the other 2 great immortal palaces. While Mo Qingyun and Yun Xing were sizing each other up, the 6 people were also sizing up Mo Qingyun and Yun Xing with disdain and mockery. After a short while, a young man in a red robe among the 6 said with a mocking expression, "Has the Eternal South Immortal Palace fallen to such a state? They actually sent a sky-human brat here." Hearing this person's mocking words, Qian Guangxuan's expression immediately darkened and he shouted angrily at the red-robed young man, "Brat, try saying that again if you dare. Although your cultivation is higher than mine, your strength is not necessarily stronger than mine." "What? Do you want to fight?" Seeing Qian Guangxuan's action, the red-robed young man's expression turned ugly and he stood up and glared at Qian Guangxuan. Looking at the attitude of Qian Guangxuan and the red-robed young man, it looked like they were going to fight if they didn't get along. Seeing this, the king of the Luo He Immortal Kingdom's expression immediately trembled and he hurriedly persuaded Qian Guangxuan, "Immortal Masters, please calm down. The most important thing for us now is to investigate the situation of the Primordial Divine's abyss. We can't have internal conflicts before we figure out the situation." Hearing the king of the Luo He Immortal Kingdom's persuasion, a young man dressed like a scholar quickly got up and said to the red-robed young man, "Junior brotherly, the king is right. The most important thing for us now is to investigate the situation of the Primordial Divine's abyss, not to fight among ourselves." Hearing the advice of the young man dressed like a scholar, the red-robed young man snorted in displeasure and walked back to his seat. When the red-robed young man returned to his seat, a golden figure walked into the courtyard. It was Yuan Xie, who had also come to the Luo He Kingdom. Yuan Xie walked to the front of the crowd and glanced coldly at Mo Qingyun. Then, he sat down on a seat. Chapter 1253. After a conversation, Mo Qingyun had a general understanding of the 6 people from the 2 immortal palaces. 3 of the 6 men were from the East Dawn Immortal Palace, named Li Yuanxiong, Lu Bing, and Sun He. They were all at the peak of the Immortal Dew stage. The person who had just argued with Qian Guangxuan was Li Yuanxiong from the East Dawn Immortal Palace, and the young scholar was Lu Bing. The last one, Sun He, didn't say a word from the beginning to the end. He should be a relatively eccentric person. The remaining 3 women were naturally from the Ling Shuang Immortal Palace, and their cultivation was also at the peak of the Immortal Dew stage. After a brief conversation with the 3 people from the Ling Shuang Immortal Palace, Missouri Qingyun had a general understanding of their characters. The woman in purple, Shuiyu, was relatively indifferent. She was the same as Sun He. She always had an expression that kept people at a distance. The woman in blue, Wang Hui, was a calm woman. She could be regarded as the leader of the 3, and she led the actions of the Shuiyu Immortal Palace. The last woman in green, Yen Yu, was an annoying proud woman. She gave people the feeling that she was only a little better than Li Yuanxiong. After a discussion with the 2 immortal palaces, everyone had a unanimous plan to explore the abyss of the ancient god clan. At this moment, when everyone was discussing to go to the abyss of the ancient god clan, Mo Qingyun had a strong shock in his heart. He secretly said, "I didn't expect the abyss of the ancient god clan to be related to the dark demon clan. It should be very dangerous. I must be very careful." Among the people present, Mo Qingyun was definitely the first person who was familiar with the Dark Demon clan. When he was in the Yuan Fu sect, Sin Rong, who he killed, got some inheritance of the Dark Demon clan. When Emo Qingyun killed Sun Rong, he plundered part of Sun Rong's memory, so he had some understanding of the Dark Demon clan. The Dark Demon clan had a magical power that could blend the bloodline power of other races into their own body. Therefore, an ordinary member of the Dark Demon clan may have the talent of multiple races, and he was a very difficult enemy to deal with. But for this, Emo Qingyun didn't intend to say it out loud. Even if he told them about the Dark Devil race, the people from the two great immortal palaces might not believe him. In that case, there was no need for him to seek trouble for himself. Seeing that everyone had finished their discussion and reached a consensus, Lu Bing smiled faintly at everyone and said, "Everyone, since we've reached a consensus, let's not waste any more time. Let's set off for the Demon River immediately." "All right." When they heard Lu Bing's suggestion, Emo Qingyun and the others nodded, and then they stood up and started heading towards the Devil's Lake. On the way to the Demon River, Yuan Xie's expression was extremely gloomy as he looked at the people from the two great immortal palaces. He thought to himself, this can't go on. With the people from the two great immortal palaces passing by, the elders of the clan won't have a chance to do anything to Emo Qingyun. Yuan Xie knew very well that the assassination of Emo Qingyun couldn't be carried out in public, because if he did that, the Eternal South Immortal Palace would lose face, and the Eternal South Immortal Palace wouldn't sit by and do nothing. Moreover, there were people from the other two great immortal palaces present, and the consequences would be even more severe. This wasn't something that the Yuan, Yun, and Bai Bian families could bear. More importantly, Yuan Xie wasn't sure if there were elders from the other two great immortal palaces secretly protecting them. Therefore, if he wanted to kill Emo Qingyun, he had to distract the people from the other two great immortal palaces. Thinking of this, Yuan Xie began to quickly think of a way to distract the people from the other two great immortal palaces. After thinking for a while, a cold smile appeared on Yuan Xie's face as he thought of a way to distract the two great immortal palaces. He said, "Senior brothers, your flying speed is much faster than ours. Why don't the 6 of you go to the abyss of the ancient gods first and wait for us there? There's no need to deliberately slow down to accompany us. You have some self-awareness." Hearing Yuan Xie's words, Li Yuanxiong smiled arrogantly and praised Yuan Xie. He then said, "Senior brother Lu Bing, senior brother Sun He, in this case, let's speed up." Hearing Li Yuanxiong's words, Lu Bing and Sun He both nodded and immediately sped up. Soon, they pulled away from Emo Qingyun and the others. "In this case, we'll go first. See you at the entrance of the abyss of the ancient gods." Seeing Lu Bing and the others fly away, Shui Yu and the other two didn't want to hesitate any longer. They said something to Emo Qingyun and the others, and then quickly chased after Lu Bing and the others. Seeing the people from the two great immortal palaces leave, Yuan Xie smiled ferociously, as if he had succeeded in some evil scheme. Seeing the change in Yuan Xie's expression, Emo Qingyun couldn't help but feel shocked and uneasy. "Senior brother Qian, let's fly to the southeast." Feeling uneasy, Emo Qingyun hurriedly told Qian Guangsun and took him to the southeast at top speed. Soon, Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun got rid of Yuan Xie and pulled away from him. "Humph! You want to get rid of me? Dream on." Seeing that Emo Qingyun and Sun He wanted to get rid of him, Yuan Xie smiled evilly. He looked at Emo Qingyun and Sun He and said proudly, "I've already informed the elders of the House of Hundred Change, House of Yun, and House of Yuan. They'll catch up with you in the time it takes to brew a cup of tea. When that time comes, you can prepare to die." Chapter 1254. Emo Qingyun and Qian disappeared? Seeing Emo Qingyun and Qian disappear in front of his eyes, Yuan Xie stopped in his tracks. This situation was far beyond his expectations. He really didn't think that Emo Qingyun would know such a method. At this moment, while Yuan Xie was fuming, several figures approached him rapidly. These people were sent by the Yuan family, Yun family, and 100 Change family to kill Mo Qingyun. Yuan Xie, where are Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun? When they arrived in front of Yuan Xie, an elder of the Yuan family asked with a cold expression where Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun had gone. Hearing the elder's question, Yuan Xie showed an unwilling expression and said helplessly, "Granduncle, not long ago, Mo Qingyun used a teleportation method and escaped with Qian Guangsun. Escaped?" Hearing Yuan Xie's answer, everyone was stunned. They were very surprised by Yuan Xie's words. They had received Yuan Xie's message. It had only been 100 breaths' time, but Mo Qingyun had actually shaken Yuan Xie off. This was like a duck that had suddenly grown wings and flown away. This was not something they wanted to see. Damned brat, I actually let him escape again. I can't let him continue to grow. That's right. With this brat's methods, he will definitely be a disaster once he grows up. He won't be able to escape. Let's go to the Demon River and wait for him there. Hearing that Mo Qingyun had escaped, the elders of the 3 families were furious. They did not plan to let Mo Qingyun go. Immediately, Yuan Xie and the others rushed to the Demon River, ready to kill Mo Qingyun there. While Yuan Xie and the others were rushing to the Demon River, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun left the teleportation gate and arrived in front of a thin river. Standing in front of the river, Mo Qingyun had a solemn expression on his face as he scanned his surroundings. After looking around, Mo Qingyun confirmed his location. This should be one of the tributaries of the Luo River. The water here flows towards the west. If we head east, we should be able to reach the Demon River. After observing the surrounding terrain, Mo Qingyun said to Qian Guangsun beside him. Then, he rushed toward the east of the river. Seeing Mo Qingyun rushing towards the east of the river, Qian Guangsun did not hesitate and quickly followed behind Mo Qingyun. Junior apprentice brother Mo, what was that transfer gate? While traveling with Mo Qingyun, Qian Guangsun asked Mo Qingyun about the teleportation gate with a curious expression. Until now, Qian Guangsun still found it hard to believe that someone could actually master the means of teleportation. Mo Qingyun was not surprised by Qian Guangsun's question. He replied indifferently, "The teleportation gate I used earlier was a special ability of mine. Normally, I would only use it in times of extreme danger." Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Qian Guangsun showed a look of understanding and didn't ask any more. He knew very well that it was already very rare for Mo Qingyun to be able to explain something as powerful as the teleportation gate to him. In the following time, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun chatted as they traveled east along the river. Several hours later, they arrived in front of a huge lake. At the side of the lake was an endless riverbed that emitted a monstrous demonic aura. This should be the Demon River. Let's go. Mo Qingyun didn't stop walking when they arrived in front of the Demon River. He instructed Qian Guangsun before continuing onward. As Mo Qingyun walked towards the Demon River, he released his soul power to sense the location of the people from the 2 great immortal palaces. Mo Qingyun was in luck. He didn't walk far from the Demon River before he saw the people from the 2 great immortal palaces. Sorry to keep you waiting. When Mo Qingyun arrived in front of the 2 great immortal palaces, he had an apologetic expression on his face as he greeted the 2 great immortal palaces. "Senior brothers, you're here." Lu Bing and Wang Hui smiled faintly when they saw Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun. They greeted Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun. Sun He and Shuiwei only nodded indifferently as a greeting to Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun. Li Yuanxiong and Yan Yu snorted and revealed arrogant expressions, expressing their dissatisfaction with Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun. Yan Yu said unhappily, "Since you know you've kept us waiting, why aren't you coming?" "Junior sister Yan, don't be rude. Wang Hui scolded her sternly when she saw Yan Yu's behavior. She turned to Emo Qingyun and asked curiously, "Junior brother Emo, why haven't I seen junior brother Yuan Xie when the two of you are here?" Although Wang Hui could tell that Emo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan didn't have a good relationship with Yuan Xie, she still couldn't understand why Emo Qingyun and the other two had split up. More importantly, the first people to arrive here were actually Emo Qingyun and the other man with a lower cultivation base. This was somewhat abnormal. Lu Bing and the others were also curious when Wang Hui asked about Yuan Xie. They didn't understand why Yuan Xie hadn't arrived yet. Emo Qingyun smiled faintly when he saw the reaction of Wang Hui and the others. He explained, "Senior brother Yuan Xie ran into some elders of his clan on his way here. That's why he's been delayed." "I see. Then we'll wait for him a little longer." Hearing Emo Qingyun's words, Wang Hui's face revealed a look of understanding as he spoke to everyone. Emo Qingyun and the others sat cross-legged in front of the Demon River and adjusted their breathing as they waited for Yuan Xie to arrive. About 2 hours later, Yuan Xie finally arrived. Yuan Xie's face instantly turned cold when he saw Emo Qingyun with Lu Bing and the others. He radiated a strong killing intent. Emo Qingyun had actually arrived before him. If that was the case, the three clans' plan to kill Emo Qingyun would probably be ruined again. "Junior brother Yuan, you can't do this again. It's not good to make everyone wait for you." Qian Guang's son warned Yuan Xie with a mischievous smile on his face when he saw Yuan Xie hurrying over. Hearing Qian Guang's son's words, everyone turned to look at Yuan Xie, their expressions full of resentment. Yuan Xie was immediately displeased when he saw everyone's reaction. His hatred for Qian Guangxuan grew even stronger. Qian Guangxuan had tricked him and used this to make everyone unhappy with him. However, although Yuan Xie was furious, there was nothing he could do. He couldn't refute Qian Guangxuan's words. There was nothing he could do. He had indeed arrived late and made everyone wait for him. "I was delayed by some matters and made everyone wait for me. I'm really sorry." Yuan Xie suppressed his anger and cupped his hands at everyone with an apologetic expression. Wang Hui and the others looked a little better when they saw Yuan Xie's apology. They understood why Yuan Xie was late. Lu Bing glanced at everyone and said, "Since junior brother Yuan Xie is here, let's go to the Demon River." "Since that's the case, let's enter the Devil's Lake." Hearing Yuan Tianan's analysis, the elder of the Hundred Faces family, Hundred Faces Hong Kun, suggested with an anxious expression. Immediately after, Yuan Tainan and the others led their family members and entered the Devil's Lake. Inside the Devil's Lake, as they went deeper into the Devil's Lake, the ground became more and more damp, and the slope became more and more steep. "If nothing goes wrong, we will soon enter the ancient god tribe's abyss if we continue like this." Looking at the steep slope in front of him, Lu Bing had a serious expression as he analyzed to Emo Qingyun and the others behind him. Puff puff puff. At this moment, as Emo Qingyun and the others continued to move forward, several streams of water suddenly shot out from the ground. After these streams of water shot out, they turned into 1-meter-long icicles that shot towards Emo Qingyun and the others in a domineering manner. Chi chi chi, as the streams of water appeared too suddenly and the attack was too close, Lu Bing and the others had no time to dodge. Not long after, Lu Bing and the other two were pierced with hideous wounds. Scorching sun. Seeing the icicles coming towards him, Emo Qingyun quickly released the scorching sun shield, enveloping him and Qian Guang's son within it. Then, a terrifying flame energy was emitted from Emo Qingyun's body. Under the impact of this flame power, the ice spikes that were attacking him at an extremely fast speed were instantly incinerated into mist. What a powerful defensive technique! Seeing Emo Qingyun's performance, Lu Bing and the others were shocked, and they began to look at Emo Qingyun in a new light. At this moment, they realized that this junior brother Mo, who didn't seem to have a high cultivation, seemed to have some extraordinary aspects. Boom boom boom. Just as Lu Bing and the others were shocked by Mo Qingyun's technique, the ground by the river suddenly shook violently. Then, a bottomless crack appeared on the ground below Mo Qingyun and the others. Seeing the crack under his feet, Mo Qingyun released his soul power to sense the situation below. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun's expression became serious, and he quickly reminded the people around him, "Everyone, retreat quickly, there are many god race below the crack, and they are approaching us." "Nonsense, do you need to say that? Even a fool knows that this is the god race's attack." In response to Mo Qingyun's kind reminder, Li Yuanxiong curled his lips in disdain, and he didn't appreciate Mo Qingyun's kindness at all. Seeing Li Yuanxiong's attitude, Mo Qingyun ignored him and retreated with Qian Guang's son, saying, "Senior brother Qian, the number of god races attack is too many, you must not leave me later." Mo Qingyun was already certain that once they were besieged by the god race, they would definitely be defeated and separated. Therefore, he reminded Qian Guang's son in advance, so that Qian Guang's son would not be separated from him. Now that the Yuan family, the Yun family, and the Bibian family had sent people here, if Qian Guang's son was separated from him, he would be in danger if he encountered the people of the three major families. Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's reminder, Qian Guang's son nodded and retreated with Mo Qingyun. When Mo Qingyun and the others retreated, huge silver-gray figures jumped out from the crack in the ground. Behind each of these figures was a huge silver shell. They looked like muscles that had gained sentience. These clam god races' strength was not weak. Each of them had reached the immortal fog stage, and the strongest few had reached the immortal dew stage. Of course, the most important thing was that there were too many of them, and it was not an exaggeration to say that there were thousands of them. In the face of such a lineup, even with the cultivation of Lu Bing and the others, the only choice was to escape. Frost Clam God Race. Looking at the clam god race in front of him, Lu Bing's expression was immediately shocked, revealing a strong sense of horror. This was the Frost Clam God Race, the strangest clan of the Clam God Race. Not only did they have a strong defense, but they also had a terrifying lethality and devouring power. Chapter 1256. Everyone, retreat. These frosty fiend clam-men are not something we can handle. Looking at the thousands of frosty fiend clam-men in front of him, Lu Bing had an anxious expression as he loudly reminded Mo Qingyun and the rest. After Lu Bing finished his words, he no longer hesitated as he hurriedly turned around and retreated. Seeing Lu Bing turn around and run for his life, the others did not stay any longer and all fled into the distance. Seeing that Mo Qingyun and the rest had started to flee, the Frosty Fiend clam-men did not stop and quickly chased after Mo Qingyun and the rest. As the Frosty Fiend clam-men chased after Mo Qingyun and the rest, they continuously released icicles to attack Mo Qingyun and the rest who were escaping. In an instant, slender icicles formed above Mo Qingyun and the rest and rained down on them. Under the attack of the icicles, Mo Qingyun and the rest were quickly separated and fled in different directions. As they were not familiar with the surroundings, Wang Hui and the other two ladies quickly reached a dead end and had no choice but to retreat. When Wang Hui and the other two ladies turned back, the Frosty Fiend clam-men had caught up and blocked their path. Then, Wang Hui and the other two ladies were surrounded by the Frosty Fiend clam-men and fell into a perilous situation. PFFF, facing the attacks of hundreds and thousands of Frosty Fiend clam-men, Yen Yu's arm was quickly injured and her face was filled with intense fear. Were they going to die here today? At this moment, not only Yen Yu, but Wang Hui and the other two ladies also tensed up when faced with such a situation. They knew very well that if no one came to save them, they would definitely die here today. This was because there were too many Frosty Fiend clam-men surrounding them. Sooner or later, the three of them would exhaust their spiritual energy. Once the spiritual energy in their bodies was exhausted, what awaited them would be the merciless slaughter of the frosty fiend clam-men. Just as Wang Hui and the other two ladies were being surrounded, Mo Qingyun noticed the situation and frowned slightly. To save them or not to save them? Senior brother Qian, let's go and help them. Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before deciding to help Wang Hui and the other two girls. He couldn't bear to see the three of them die. Then, Mo Qingyun took out the immortal incineration battle halberd and rushed toward Wang Hui and the other two women. Heavenly Flames sky-breaking halberd. Mo Qingyun immediately brandished his immortal burning battle halberd towards the frost devil clam men blocking his way, and slashed towards them in a domineering manner. As Mo Qingyun swung his halberd, 1,000-meter-long fire dragon halberd radiance swept towards the frosty fiendish clam-man like a tornado. Bang bang bang! Under the tyrannical impact of the fire dragon halberd light, the frost devil clam-men blocking the way were immediately sent flying, opening a path for Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun did not stop and rushed forward with Qian Guangxuan. Just like that, after several breakthroughs by Mo Qingyun and the other two, they arrived beside Wang Hui and the other two women. Junior brother Mo. Seeing the arrival of Mo Qingyun and the other two women, Wang Hui and the other two women were pleasantly surprised. Their expressions were filled with gratitude. At this critical moment, Mo Qingyun had stepped forward bravely to save the three of them. This was simply too touching. Senior sister Wang Hui, the three of you retreat first. Senior brother Qian and I will bring up the rear. Before Wang Hui and the other two women could express their gratitude, Mo Qingyun revealed a solemn expression and instructed the three of them. As soon as Mo Qingyun finished speaking, he and Qian Guangxuan attacked the frosty fiendish clam-men that were besieging them. Then, another 1,000-meter-long fire dragon halberd radiance surged out from the immortal incineration battle halberd and blasted towards the frosty fiendish clam-men, stopping them in their tracks. Junior brother Mo, thank you. Seeing that the frosty fiendish clam-men had been stopped, Wang Hui and the other two women silently thanked Mo Qingyun and quickly retreated. However, Wang Hui and the other two women hadn't gone far before they were targeted by another wave of frosty fiendish clam-men that quickly surrounded them. Seeing the situation that Wang Hui and the other two women were in, Mo Qingyun hurriedly waved his left fist and blasted it towards the wave of frosty fiendish clam-men. Heaven Soul Heaven Sealing Fist. Under Mo Qingyun's punch, a gigantic silvery fist shadow rapidly formed above the frosty fiendish clam-men. Then, the gigantic silvery fist shadow blasted towards the frosty fiendish clam-men below. Bang! The gigantic silvery fist landed with a deafening bang and transformed into a gigantic silver light shield. After the silver light shield was formed, it enveloped the group of frosty fiendish clam-men and trapped them within the light shield. Seeing that the frosty fiendish clam-men that were besieging them had been stopped, Wang Hui and the other two women glanced at Mo Qingyun and continued to escape. Senior brother Qian, let's retreat too. After a short while, seeing that Wang Hui and the other two women had completely escaped, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Guangxuan nodded in response and quickly followed Mo Qingyun into the distance. While Qian Guangxuan and Mo Qingyun were escaping, the way he looked at Mo Qingyun had changed drastically. Junior brother Mo is too strong. Thinking back to how Mo Qingyun had crushed the frosty fiendish clam-men that had besieged them, Qian Guangxuan was extremely shocked. At this moment, he finally understood why Mo Qingyun had been able to kill so many iron earthworms during the Iron Earthworm Tribe's test. What Qian Guangxuan didn't know was that when Mo Qingyun had attacked just now, he had actually held back some of his strength. If Mo Qingyun wanted to, he could have slaughtered all the frosty fiendish clam-men. However, in Mo Qingyun's opinion, even if he killed all the frosty fiendish clam-men, he wouldn't gain anything. Not only that, but he would also expose some of his trump cards. This wasn't something he wanted to see. In this way, since it was a thankless task, why should Mo Qingyun look for trouble? About 15 minutes later, with Mo Qingyun's domineering breakthrough, he and Qian Guangxuan finally broke free from the pursuit of the frosty fiendish clam-men. Junior brother Mo, what should we do next? Seeing that they had broken free from the pursuit of the frosty fiendish clam-men, Qian Guangxuan asked for Mo Qingyun's opinion. Throughout this journey, Qian Guangxuan was already used to following Mo Qingyun's arrangements. Since we're here to investigate the ancient god tribe's abyss, we naturally have to enter the interior of the demon river Luo. Hearing Qian Guangxuan's question, Mo Qingyun replied without hesitation. Then, he walked towards the interior of the demon river Luo and said, "Now that we've finally gotten rid of Yuan Xie, this is the best time to enter the demon river Luo. Let's go in first." Alright. Chapter 1257. When Mo Qingyun entered the depths of the magic river Luo, Yuan Xie had also escaped from the pursuit of the fiend frost clam people with the help of Yuan Tainan and the others. "Granduncle, what do we do now? Should we continue to pursue Mo Qingyun by the Luo River?" Thinking back to the large group of fiend frost clam people, Yuan Xie showed lingering fear and asked Yuan Tainan about his plans. Yuan Xie's thoughts were very simple. If Yuan Tainan and the others didn't enter the magic river Luo, he definitely wouldn't enter the magic river Luo either. In his opinion, the magic river Luo was just too dangerous. It wasn't a place he could enter easily. They had encountered large numbers of fiend frost clam people before even entering the abyss of the Primordial God clan. If he entered the abyss of the Primordial God clan, he might encounter even more terrifying gods. Hearing Yuan Xie's question, Yuan Tainan revealed a hesitant expression. He was considering whether or not to enter the magic river Luo. Although the pursuit of Mo Qingyun was very important, the magic river Luo was just too dangerous. The consequences would be unpredictable if they entered rashly. After a short while, Yuan Tainan finally made up his mind after some hesitation. He said in a deep voice, "This Mo Qingyun is growing too quickly. We can't give him the time to grow. We need to get rid of him as soon as possible. Otherwise, we won't be able to eat or sleep in peace." Thinking back to what Yuan Xie had told him about Mo Qingyun, Yuan Tainan felt a sense of urgency. He desperately wanted to get rid of Mo Qingyun as soon as possible. That's right. If Mo Qingyun hides in the magic river Luo and cultivates, it'll be troublesome. With our combined strength, we won't be in too much danger even if we encounter the fiend frost clam people. Let's continue into the magic river Luo. Hearing Yuan Tianan's plan, Yun Sun and the others all nodded in agreement. It was just as Yuan Tainan had said. Mo Qingyun was growing too quickly. They couldn't let him continue to grow. After Yuan Tainan and the others finished their discussion, they didn't waste any more time and entered the magic river Luo again. Seeing Yuan Tainan enter the Devil River again, Yuan Xie revealed a dark expression and entered the Devil River with everyone else. At this moment, Li Yuanxiong, Wang Hui, and the others met on the other side of the Luo River. "Junior sister Wang Hui, are you all right?" After meeting Wang Hui and the other two girls, Lu Bing asked them out of concern, "Where's junior martial brother Mo and the others? Didn't he escape with you?" "No." Wang Hui shook her head and looked worriedly at the demon river Luo. She said in a low voice, "Junior Mo hasn't appeared since he rescued the three of us. I'm worried that he's been trapped by the frost clam person." "Junior brother Mo saved you guys?" Hearing Wang Hui's answer, Lu Bing and the other two were surprised. They had never thought of such a situation. They had always thought that Mo Qingyun was the weakest among the 9 of them. Now that Mo Qingyun had saved Wang Hui and the other two girls, they were indeed surprised. "Senior brother Lu Bing, Junior Marshal Brother Mo still hasn't come out. I'm very worried that he's in danger. I've decided to enter the magic river Luo to take a look. After conversing with Lu Bing and the others, Wang Hui revealed a worried expression and decided to enter the magic river Luo again. Seeing Wang Hui's actions, Lu Bing revealed a solemn expression and advised Wang Hui, "Junior sister Wang Hui, there are too many Frost Clam person. Junior Marshal Brother Mo still hasn't come out. It's very likely that he's already died at the hands of the Frost Clam person. Even if you go in to find him now, it's useless. I think we should all return to the Immortal Palace." You overestimated yourself. You don't have the ability to save the damsel in distress. You deserve to die. Hearing Wang Hui and the others' conversation, Li Yuanxiong revealed a sinister smile and took pleasure in their misfortune. Seeing Li Yuanxiong's actions, Wang Hui and the other two girls immediately showed displeasure and looked at Li Yuanxiong with hatred. Seeing the three girls' reaction, Lu Bing couldn't help but be stunned. He looked at Mo Qingyun's position in their hearts. Immediately, Lu Bing revealed an apologetic smile and hurriedly said to Wang Hui and the other two girls, "Junior sisters, don't be angry. Junior Marshal Brother Li didn't mean that. Since that's the case, we'll accompany you to find Junior Marshal Brother Mo and the others." "Thank you, Senior Marshal Brother Lu." Hearing Lu Bing's words, Wang Hui and the other two girls cupped their hands and thanked Lu Bing. In their opinion, with Lu Bing and the other two accompanying them, the three of them would be safer. After Wang Hui and the others reached an agreement, they once again entered the magic river Luo. Along the way, they looked for Mo Qingyun and rushed towards the ancient god race's abyss. With their previous experience with the Frost Clam person, Wang Hui and the others were much more careful now. Following that, with Wang Hui and the others carefully rushing, they easily avoided the Frost Clam person and arrived at the depths of the magic river Luo. Of course, along the way, Wang Hui and the others also encountered some small trouble and encountered many other water gods. However, the strength of these water gods was far inferior to the Frost Clam person and didn't pose much of a threat to them. As the group advanced towards the depths of the magic river Luo, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan walked all the way and arrived at a huge space of ruins. This should be the so-called ancient god race's abyss. After entering the ruins, Mo Qingyun looked around and gained some understanding of the ruins. Rather than calling it a ruin, it was more appropriate to call it an independent space of a battlefield. What entered their eyes was a mess caused by battle. Ancient buildings collapsed on the ground. Beside these ancient buildings there were many corpses. Some belonged to the god race, and some belonged to the immortal race. Although a long time had passed, Mo Qingyun could sense that these corpses were very strong when they were alive. They were at least at the immortal infant stage and above. "Let's go in and take a look." After glancing at the battlefield in front of him, Mo Qingyun instructed Qian Guangxuan and walked into the depths of the battlefield. Mo Qingyun was now wondering if there were any magic treasures or legacies left behind in this ancient battlefield. As Mo Qingyun went deeper into the battlefield, a strange feeling suddenly arose in his heart. It was as if he was being spied on by something. This feeling made Mo Qingyun very uncomfortable. It gave him a strong sense of unease, as if he had entered a trap. Immediately, Mo Qingyun stopped moving forward and looked around with a tense expression. He wanted to find where the thing that was spying on him was. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun found where it was. It was something similar to a crabman. The battle crabman. Seeing the crabman in front of him, Qian Guangxuan was shocked. He recognized the crabman. Chapter 1258. The Battle Crab clansmen in front of them not only had the appearance of a human and a crab, but also a pair of bird wings. Coldly glancing at Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan, the Battle Crab clansman flapped the wings on his back and quickly arrived above Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan. Arriving above Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan, the battle crab clansman waved his two large pincers and blasted out two astonishing spiritual energies. These two terrifying spiritual energies gushed out and turned into two huge crab pincers, attacking Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan. Heavenly Flames Sky-Breaking Halberd. Facing the bombardment of the huge crab pincers, Mo Qingyun immediately took out the immortal burning halberd and swept it towards the pincers. 1,000-meter-long flaming dragon burst out from the immortal burning halberd and collided with the huge crab pincers. Bang! With a loud sound, the flaming dragon and the huge crab pincers exploded in midair. Soon after, a terrifying yuan power storm swiftly formed in midair and swept towards the surroundings in an overbearing manner. Under the impact of this elemental energy storm, Mo Qingyun and the battle crab clansmen retreated to avoid being engulfed by this elemental energy storm. After avoiding the elemental energy storm, Mo Qingyun did not stop and continued to attack the battle crab clansmen. Golden Snake Flashing Halberd. After Mo Qingyun waved his halberd, his figure disappeared as if he had never appeared. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, the battle crab clansman raised his large pincers and looked around nervously. Even so, when Mo Qingyun stabbed him with his halberd, he did not have time to block. Crack! With a crisp sound, the battle crab clansman's carapace was directly pierced through by Mo Qingyun. After the immortal burning halberd destroyed the battle crab clansman's carapace, Mo Qingyun's hands did not stop moving and stabbed the immortal burning halberd into the battle crab clansman's body. Then, the immortal burning battle halberd pierced through the body of the battle crab tribesmen, skewering them like barbecued crabs. However, this battle crab race member was an immortal stage powerhouse. Even if he suffered such a heavy injury, he was still not directly killed by Mo Qingyun. No. Don't kill me. Seeing his body being pierced by the immortal burning halberd, the battle crab tribesman waved his pincers and begged Mo Qingyun for mercy. Seeing the reaction of the battle crab, Mo Qingyun hesitated for a moment before asking the battle crab, "I can spare your life, but you have to answer my question honestly. As long as you don't kill me, I will definitely answer you truthfully." Seeing that Mo Qingyun was prepared to spare his life, the battle crab tribesman was pleasantly surprised and quickly nodded to Mo Qingyun. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and asked the battle crab tribesman, "Tell me, what's with the wings on your back? Also, is there any dark devil race in this battlefield space?" Replying to the immortal, "The reason why I can grow wings on my back is because I have received a bloodline transformation." Regarding Mo Qingyun's question, the battle crab tribesman answered truthfully. Then, he pointed to the north of the battlefield space and said, "In the north of the battlefield space, there is a dark devil race's hematopoietic base. There are some broken hematopoietic pools that can transform the bloodline of cultivators." Bloodline transformation? Hearing the words of the battle crab tribesman, Mo Qingyun suddenly showed surprise and curiosity arose in his heart. He ordered the battle crab tribesman, "Take me to the hematopoietic base immediately. When you take me to the hematopoietic base, you can leave." "Yes." Hearing the request of Mo Qingyun, the battle crab tribesman no longer hesitated and immediately took Mo Qingyun to the hematopoietic base. The hematopoietic base was located in the deepest part of this battlefield space. It was the lair of the dark devil race that once lived here. As they got closer to the hematopoietic base, Mo Qingyun found that the surrounding scene became more and more tragic and messy. If one looked carefully, they would find that in addition to the collapse of the surrounding houses, there were even some small cracks in the space. After a short while, under the guidance of the battle crab tribesman, Mo Qingyun came to a huge fortress. Standing in front of this fortress, Mo Qingyun could clearly feel a strong bloodline power permeating the fortress. "Immortal, this is the hematopoietic base." Standing in front of this huge fortress, The battle crab tribesman showed a respectful expression and pointed to the fortress in front of him. And, hearing the words of the battle crab tribesman, Emo Chingyun nodded with satisfaction and asked in a deep voice, "Is there any divine race entrenched in this hematopoietic base now?" Hearing Emo Chingyun's question, the battle crab tribesman immediately showed a look of awe. His expression became tense and he said, "Immortal, the hematopoietic base is now occupied by the Dark Fire Tiger. The bloodline power in the Dark Fire Tiger's body has been transformed into the bloodline of the 10th generation Fire Tiger. Although the transformation is only 60% successful, its strength is still very strong. If you encounter it, you must be careful." The 10th generation bloodline? Hearing the words of the battle crab clansman, Emo Chingyun revealed a puzzled expression and asked, "Tell me, what is the 10th generation bloodline?" "Yes." Hearing Emo Chingyun's question, the battle crab tribesman did not dare to show the slightest neglect and hurriedly said with a serious expression, "Whether it is the divine race or the immortal race, as long as their cultivation reaches the realm of primordial unity golden immortal, they can comprehend the power of the Great Path and integrate it into their bloodline to pass on to their descendants. Their children are the second-generation bloodline, and so on." "I see." Hearing the battle crab tribesman's explanation, Emo Chingyun understood in his heart. He pondered for a moment and said, "By the way, how is the strength of the Dark Fire Tiger? Has it entered the realm of true immortals?" "Immortal, I don't know the specific strength of the Dark Fire Tiger, but I am sure of one thing. Its cultivation has definitely not entered the realm of true immortals." Hearing Emo Chingyun ask about the strength of the Dark Fire Tiger, the battle crab tribesman once again answered truthfully, not daring to hide anything from Emo Chingyun. At this point, the battle crab tribesman hesitated for a moment, then said to Emo Chingyun, "In addition, there are now many immortal infant stage and immortal core stage subordinates around the Dark Fire Tiger. They should not be underestimated. It seems that if I want to enter this blood-producing base, I have to be very careful." After listening to the battle crab tribesman's explanation, Emo Chingyun knew what to do next. Seeing that he had asked most of the questions, Emo Chingyun no longer detained the battle crab tribesman. He waved his hand impatiently and said, "Well, there's nothing for you to do here. You can leave now. Thank you for not killing me, immortal." Chapter 1259. Junior Brother Emo, are we really going in? Qian Guangsuan asked worriedly after learning about the situation in the hematopoietic base. He wanted to persuade Emo Chingyun not to go in. In his opinion, the hematopoietic base was too dangerous for him and Emo Chingyun to enter. Emo Chingyun knew what Qian Guangsuan was thinking. Qian Guangsuan was worried about what they would do if they encountered the Dark Fire Jiao Tiger. However, since they were already at the entrance of the hematopoietic base, Emo Chingyun was unwilling to leave just like that. Emo Chingyun pondered for a moment before he told Qian Guangsuan, "Senior Brother Qian, this hematopoietic base is very dangerous. It's not safe for you to go in with me. Why don't you wait for me outside the hematopoietic base, and I'll go in alone?" "No." Qian Guangsuan immediately shook his head and refused Emo Chingyun's suggestion. He objected to Emo Chingyun's suggestion. Although he knew that Emo Chingyun was very strong, Qian Guangsuan did not believe that Emo Chingyun would be able to fight against the Dark Fire Jiao Tiger. Moreover, there were many immortal core and immortal infant stage experts around the Dark Fire Jiao Tiger. Emo Chingyun was not surprised by Qian Guangsuan's attitude. He smiled faintly at Qian Guangsuan and said, "Senior Brother Qian, don't worry. Since I've decided to go in and explore, I naturally have a way to protect myself. Do you think I'm going to throw my life away?" Qian Guangsuan stopped trying to persuade Emo Chingyun when he saw that Emo Chingyun was determined. He knew that he could not persuade Mo Qingyun otherwise. However, Qian Guangxuan did not plan to go with Mo Qingyun. Instead, he agreed with Mo Qingyun's previous suggestion. He knew that with his current strength, he would only be a burden to Mo Qingyun if he entered the hematopoietic base with Mo Qingyun. Immediately after, Qian Guang's son put on a serious expression and pointed at a collapsed tower not far away, saying, "In that case, I will wait for you in that tower. When you come out of the hematopoietic base, you can go there to find me." Okay. Seeing Qian Guangxuan agree to his suggestion, Mo Qingyun smiled with satisfaction and agreed with Qian Guangxuan's decision. After discussing with Mo Qingyun, Qian Guangxuan no longer hesitated and flew toward the collapsed city tower in front of him. Seeing that Qian Guangxuan was heading towards the collapsed city tower, Mo Qingyun didn't waste any more time and started walking towards the hematopoietic base. Hidden door. When Mo Qingyun entered the hematopoietic base, he used the invisibility door and prepared to hide himself. Then, a transparent mini door of light condensed in front of Mo Qingyun, enveloping him within. Mo Qingyun slowly became transparent as the transparent door of light enveloped him. In the end, he completely disappeared from where he was. After a short while, Mo Qingyun entered the hematopoietic base. He sensed a dense vital energy envelop him. The heavenly soul demon bloodline in Mo Qingyun's body throbbed as he was enveloped by this bloody aura. I never thought that the bloodline power in the hematopoietic base could resonate with the heavenly soul demon bloodline. Mo Qingyun was immediately surprised when he sensed the heavenly soul demon bloodline's activity. His face became tense. Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He hurriedly suppressed the restless heavenly soul demon bloodline. Although the concealment door could hide his figure and aura, it could not suppress the restless heavenly soul demon bloodline. If he did not suppress his heavenly soul demon bloodline, it was extremely likely that the dark fire serpent tiger would discover him. He had entered the hematopoietic base for two reasons. Firstly, he wanted to see the terrain of the base. Secondly, he wanted to try his luck and see if there were any benefits he could obtain. Therefore, Mo Qingyun did not want to expose himself unless it was absolutely necessary. He did not want to confront the dark fire serpent tiger head-on. Under Mo Qingyun's full suppression, the restless heavenly soul demon bloodline in his body was quickly suppressed. After suppressing the restless heavenly soul demon bloodline, Mo Qingyun did not stop. He continued to walk into the hematopoietic base. Soon, two Protoss with the head of a lion and the body of a human appeared in front of Mo Qingyun. These two Protoss with the head of a lion and the body of a human were very powerful. They had both reached the late stage of the immortal Du realm. They were much more powerful than Luha. However, these two powerful existences could only be reduced to gatekeepers in this hematopoietic base. It could be seen that the dark fire serpent tiger was not simple. However, Mo Qingyun did not retreat because of this. Instead, he continued to rush into the hematopoietic base. Moreover, looking at these powerful Protoss, Mo Qingyun became more and more curious about the hematopoietic base. Then, as Mo Qingyun continued to go deeper, one after another, Protoss with strange appearances appeared in front of him. At this moment, as Mo Qingyun went deeper into the hematopoietic base, Yuan Tainan and the others also arrived at the battlefield. This should be the abyss of the primordial Protoss. When they arrived at the battlefield, Yuan Tainan and the others had serious expressions. They looked around the interior of the battlefield. Yuan Tainan and the rest revealed a cold smile as they observed the interior of the battlefield. They revealed an extremely pleased expression as they said, "If my guess is correct, this should be an undiscovered ancient remains. There might be quite a number of treasures here. Looks like I've made the right choice in coming here. In that case, we have to thank Mo Qingyun. Haha. If that's the case, when we meet Mo Qingyun, we'll give him a quick death." No, I think that in order to express our gratitude to Emo Chin-yun, we should torture him properly. At this moment, Yun Shur-sun and the others sneered. It was as if they had found a treasure and captured Emo Chin-yun. Then, Yuan Tainan and the others did not hesitate. They began to rush into the interior of the battlefield. Emo Chin-yun, when I get the treasures in the battlefield, you'll see how I'll kill you. As they went deeper into the battlefield, Yuan Xie smiled coldly. He felt a sense of pride in his heart. Not long after Yuan Tainan and the others arrived at the battlefield, Lu Bing and the others also arrived. They all looked around in surprise. Looking at the battlefield in front of him, Lu Bing had a solemn expression. He said to the people around him in a deep voice, "If I'm not mistaken, this is the abyss of the primordial god tribe. Since we didn't meet junior brother Mo on the way, he should have come here. Yes, if that's the case, let's split up and look for junior brother Mo." Chapter 1260. Although they hadn't met Emo Chin-yun along the way, they couldn't be sure that Emo Chin-yun was here. Therefore, before they found Emo Chin-yun, their hearts were in suspense. In Wang Hui's opinion, no matter what, Emo Chin-yun had fallen into such a dangerous situation in order to save the three of them. Alright, in that case, let's split up and search for junior brother Mo and the others. Lu Bing nodded in agreement when he heard Wang Hui's thoughts. He pondered for a moment before saying, "Also, regardless of the results of the search, we'll gather here in half a month." Alright. Everyone nodded in agreement with Lu Bing's suggestion. They felt that Lu Bing's consideration was right. Under normal circumstances, if they couldn't find Emo Chin-yun in half a month, even if they continued searching, their chances of finding him would be very slim. Following that, Lu Bing and the others had a simple discussion before they split up. In the blood-producing base. After walking around the blood-producing base for 15 minutes, Emo Chin-yun arrived at an altar. There were many pools of different sizes here. Beside each pool, there was a small stone tablet with different words written on it. Blood of the Snail Clan, Fire Spirit Horse Clan, Rainbow Fox Clan. As he got closer, Emo Chin-yun discovered that the handwriting on the stone tablets introduced the origins of the blood in the pools. So the blood in these pools is the blood of the various clans of the primordial era. After seeing the handwriting on the stone tablets, Emo Chin-yun didn't hesitate any longer. He quickly walked towards the interior of the altar. As Emo Chin-yun walked towards the interior of the altar, he discovered that many of the pools were empty. It seemed like the blood in them had been refined. After a while, as Emo Chin-yun continued to walk deeper, he finally saw some of the pools and some of the blood of the primordial era's god clan. It seemed like the bloodline power that Emo Chin-yun had sensed came from these pools. Glancing at the pool of blood, Emo Chin-yun didn't stop and continued walking towards the depths of the altar. As he went deeper into the altar, Emo Chin-yun could clearly feel that the bloodline power in the pool had become stronger. It seemed that the blood in these ponds should be from the bloodlines of more powerful primordial races. Nine-tailed Fox Clan. At this moment, the words on a stone tablet attracted Emo Chin-yun's attention. Unfortunately, the pool with the nine-tailed Fox Clan's bloodline was now empty. Emo Chin-yun frowned as he stared at the empty pool. He thought to himself, "I wonder if there's any blood from the three-eyed demon or the heavenly soul demon in this altar. If there is, it might be of some help to my cultivation." As soon as this thought appeared in Emo Chin-yun's head, he looked towards the interior of the altar and glanced at the stone tablets beside the pools. As Emo Chin-yun scanned the stone tablet, a bold idea suddenly popped into his mind. He was pleasantly surprised as he said, "The blood in these pools comes from experts of various races in the untainted universe. I can let Emo Zai refine it to improve her cultivation." Without any hesitation, Emo Chin-yun began to collect the blood in the pools. However, as Emo Chin-yun collected the blood, he discovered that it wasn't easy. This was because an expert had set up a barrier around each pool of blood. If he wanted to obtain the blood in the pools, he had to destroy the barriers. As a result, he had to destroy the barriers if he wanted to collect the blood in the pools. Emo Qingyun could not help but frown when he saw this. He thought about what to do next. He knew very well that as soon as he attacked the barriers outside the pools, he would attract the attention of the dark fire serpent tiger. After some thought, Emo Qingyun decided not to collect the blood for now. He continued to look around the altar for a while. 15 minutes later, Emo Qingyun arrived at the deepest part of the altar. Unfortunately, Emo Qingyun didn't find the blood of the heavenly soul demons even after searching the entire altar. Emo Qingyun saw a strange formation in the deepest part of the altar. It radiated with a strange power. After seeing this array formation, Emo Qingyun's expression turned solemn as he carefully sized it up. After studying it for a while, Emo Qingyun had a rough understanding of the use of this strange formation. If his guess was correct, this strange formation should be used to modify one's bloodline. After studying the strange formation, Emo Qingyun no longer paid any attention to it. He had no use for it anyway. Firstly, there was no blood more powerful than the heavenly soul demons in the altar. Secondly, he had no chance to activate the formation to modify the blood. After seeing this result, Emo Qingyun did not think too much about it. He prepared to collect the blood. After some consideration, Emo Qingyun chose the blood of the petrifying dragon lizard clan. He was ready to collect it. Since he had made his decision, Emo Qingyun did not think too much about it. He directly attacked the barrier outside the blood pool. Bang bang bang, under Emo Qingyun's domineering attacks, clear cracks appeared on the barrier that contained the petrifying dragon lizard clan's blood. After discovering this, Emo Qingyun's expression became serious, and a sense of urgency arose in his heart. He knew very well that he had attracted the attention of the dark fire serpent tiger by making such a big commotion. Therefore, he had to seize the opportunity to destroy the barrier outside the blood pool before the dark fire serpent tiger arrived. Who is so bold to come to my, Xiao Honghu's, territory to cause trouble? Just as Emo Qingyun was feeling anxious, a furious thunderous voice came from outside the altar. Following which, an aura that made one's heart tremble also approached from outside the altar. Quick, quick, quick! Sensing this terrifying aura approaching, Emo Qingyun's face immediately revealed an anxious expression, and he became extremely anxious in his heart. The dark fire serpent tiger had found him. It seemed that he had to speed up. Otherwise, all his previous efforts would be in vain. Soon after, Emo Qingyun's attacks became even more ferocious, and the impact on the barrier became even more intense. Patter! Hard work paid off. Under Emo Qingyun's continuous attacks, the barrier of the pool was finally destroyed. Collect! Seeing the barrier of the blood pool being destroyed, Emo Qingyun immediately urged the 5 Directions small tower to collect the blood in the pool. Soon, the petrifying dragon lizard clan's blood in the pool was collected into the 5 Directions small tower. In just a blink of an eye, the pool of petrifying dragon lizard clan's blood was emptied by Emo Qingyun. After collecting the petrifying dragon lizard clan's blood, Emo Qingyun did not stop. He used the invisible door again. Then, Emo Qingyun's figure disappeared, as if he had never appeared. Chapter 1261. Among the figures that came to the altar, the leader was a burly man with the body of a tiger beast. He should be the dark fire dragon tiger. The dark fire dragon tiger stood at the entrance of the altar, exuding an aura close to the true immortal realm. He stared at the altar with wide eyes. Roar! After looking around, the dark fire serpent tiger's expression became ferocious. It roared at the altar, "Where did you come from? How dare you touch my Xiao Honghu's things? Come out obediently." At Xiao Honghu's roar, a powerful golden sound wave was emitted from his tiger mouth. Under the impact of the sound wave, the space inside the altar immediately trembled as if it could not bear the impact of the sound wave. What a powerful sound wave! Looking at the sound wave that was rapidly approaching, Emo Qingyun's expression became solemn and he was secretly shocked. Immediately, Emo Qingyun took out the 5 directions tower and hid in it to avoid the impact of the powerful sound wave. After avoiding the impact of the sound wave, Emo Qingyun moved again and returned to the altar from the 5 directions tower. Emo Qingyun's move was very fast and he was very careful, so he was not discovered by Xiao Honghu. Seeing that the altar was still calm after the sound wave attack, Xiao Honghu's expression became even more ferocious. Could it be that the thief had already escaped? With this thought in mind, Xiao Honghu's expression became twisted. He gnashed his teeth and said, "The thief must have not escaped far. Go and seal the entire fortress immediately. Don't let the thief escape." Yes. Hearing Xiao Honghu's order, the subordinates behind him all left the altar in a flash. After these people left, Xiao Honghu revealed an unwilling expression and glanced at the altar again. However, the result was the same. The altar was still calm and there was nothing unusual or wrong. Humph! No matter who you are, since you dared to touch my, Xiao Honghu's, things, I will tear you to pieces. Seeing that the altar was still calm, Xiao Honghu said unresigned and turned to leave the altar. After Xiao Honghu left the altar, he set up a barrier around the altar to prevent the thieves from leaving. Seeing Xiao Honghu and the others leave, Emo Qingyun's expression relaxed a lot. The crisis in front of him had finally been resolved. Seeing that the crisis before him had been resolved, Emo Qingyun glanced at the blood pool around him, and a trace of regret appeared on his face. Judging from the current situation, it would be impossible for him to steal more blood. Now that Xiao Honghu and the others were on guard, they would rush over as soon as something happened in the altar, not giving Emo Qingyun the slightest chance to make a move. Looks like I can only come back in the future. Emo Qingyun sighed. He didn't linger any longer. He got up and walked out of the altar. Although there was some regret in his heart, Emo Qingyun did not care too much about it. All in all, he had gained quite a lot from this trip to the blood-producing fortress. A portal. When he arrived at the exit of the altar, Emo Qingyun cast a portal and easily passed through the barrier set up by Xiao Honghu. When Emo Qingyun left the altar, a 7-colored light screen formed above the fortress, sealing the entire fortress within. Seeing the formation above the fortress, Emo Qingyun frowned slightly. He secretly lamented that the defense of the blood-producing base was too tight. If it weren't for the hidden door and the portal, he might not have been able to leave today. Emo Qingyun sighed in his heart. He cast a portal again and left the blood-producing fortress. When Emo Qingyun left the blood-producing fortress, Yuan Xie and the others came to the dilapidated city tower and saw Qian Guangxuan in the dilapidated city tower. Qian Guangxuan. Yuan Xie was surprised to see Qian Guangxuan in the dilapidated city tower. He did not expect to meet Qian Guangxuan here. It was really a case of traveling far and wide in search of something, only to find it by chance. Yuan Xie. When he saw Yuan Xie and the others, Qian Guangxuan was also surprised. His expression instantly tensed up. He really did not expect that Yuan Xie and the others would come before Emo Qingyun returned. Looking at Yuan Xie's attitude, he was afraid that Yuan Xie was going to do something to him. This was not a coincidence. Qian Guangxuan, where is Emo Qingyun? Yuan Xie asked with a cold smile as he looked at the tense Qian Guangxuan. He then said, "As long as you tell me where Emo Qingyun is, I can promise to spare your life." In Yuan Xie's opinion, Qian Guangxuan was just an insignificant character. It did not matter whether he was killed or not. The most important thing now was to get rid of Emo Qingyun and prevent Emo Qingyun from continuing to grow. Emo Qingyun's growth was too fast. They were already having trouble sleeping and eating. Humph. If you want to kill me, then kill me. There's no need to talk so much nonsense. I don't know where junior brother Mo is. In response to Yuan Xie's question, Qian Guangsun replied coldly with a haughty expression. As soon as Qian Guangsun finished speaking, he raised his head and put on a posture that said, "You can do whatever you want to me." In Qian Guangsun's opinion, with Yuan Tainan and the others' powerful immortal infant stage cultivation, there was no way he could resist. In this case, it was the same whether he retorted or resisted. He might as well be more unyielding and rather die than submit. "You're courting death." Seeing Qian Guangsun's behavior, the Yuan family's immortal core stage expert's face darkened. He was about to kill Qian Guangsun. "Yuan Ling, stop. We still need to keep this brat alive." Seeing that Yuan Ling was about to kill Qian Guangsun, Yuan Tainan stopped her and looked at Qian Guangsun with a cold smile. He said, "This brat and Mo Qingyun are close friends. If Mo Qingyun knows that he has been captured, he will probably come to save him. Granduncle, you're planning to..." Hearing Yuan Tianan's words, Yuan Xie's eyes lit up. He understood Yuan Tianan's plan. Yuan Tainan planned to use Qian Guangsun as bait to lure Mo Qingyun to take the initiative to come. Understanding Yuan Tianan's plan, Yuan Xie and the others sneered and felt a sense of pride in their hearts. "Elder Yuan Tainan, you're really far-sighted. This is indeed a good plan. Granduncle, as long as Mo Qingyun dares to come, we'll definitely make sure he doesn't leave. Since Qian Guangsun is here, I believe that Mo Qingyun will be here soon. Since it's like this, we'll wait here for Mo Qingyun." Yun Sun and the others discussed for a while. They set up camp to rest and wait for Mo Qingyun's arrival. As for Qian Guangsun, his cultivation was sealed by Yuan Tainan and the others, and he was imprisoned in a simple stone room. About 2 hours later, Mo Qingyun arrived near the dilapidated city gate tower and saw Yuan Xie and the others who had set up camp. Yuan Xie. Chapter 1262. Thinking that Qian Guangsun might be in danger, Mo Qingyun used the concealment gate and quickly walked towards the dilapidated city gate tower. As Mo Qingyun walked towards the dilapidated city gate tower, he released his soul force to sense Qian Guangsun's location. Over there. Through Mo Qingyun's senses, he found Qian Guangsun's location and quickly walked towards the simple stone room. Arriving in front of the stone room, Mo Qingyun used the teleportation gate and entered the stone room. After Mo Qingyun used the teleportation gate, the members of the 3 great clans who were guarding the stone room turned their heads in confusion. By the time they turned their heads, the teleportation gate had already disappeared, leaving behind only a trace of spatial fluctuations. Seeing the spatial fluctuations, the expressions of the people guarding the stone room became even more puzzled. They couldn't understand the scene in front of them. After a brief moment of confusion, they didn't think too much about it and turned their heads, no longer paying attention to the imprisoned Qian Guangsun. When everyone turned their heads, Qian Guangsun, who was leaning against the wall of the stone room, suddenly revealed a shocked expression. This was because Mo Qingyun's soul message had just appeared in his mind. Mo Qingyun had come to the dilapidated city gate tower. "Senior brother Qian, don't be nervous. I'll take you away now." While Qian Guangsun was looking around, Mo Qingyun's soul message appeared in his mind again. As Mo Qingyun's voice fell, a whirlpool of light appeared in front of Qian Guangsun, producing a strange energy fluctuation. When Qian Guangsun saw the teleportation gate, a strong hand landed on his shoulder and led him into the teleportation gate. Then, Qian Guangsun's figure disappeared from the stone room in an instant. When Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangsun left, the members of the 3 great clans who were guarding the stone room felt another spatial fluctuation. Then, they turned their heads to look inside the stone room, wanting to see what was going on. When they looked inside, they were all dumbfounded, not daring to believe their eyes. Qian Guang's son had disappeared. Qian Guangxuan's cultivation had been sealed by Yuan Tainan, yet he was still able to sneak away right under their noses. This situation was too abnormal. After a short period of shock, these people no longer hesitated and hurriedly went to report to Yuan Tainan. After a short while, Yuan Tainan and the others sat in a large hall in the old city tower with a dark expression. Now that Qian Guangxuan had escaped, how were they going to bait Mo Qingyun? Trash, you can't even keep an eye on someone without cultivation. Knowing that Qian Guang's son had escaped, Yuan Tainan was so angry that his teeth itched. He wanted nothing more than to kill these people. A person whose cultivation was sealed was actually rescued right under their noses. The few of them were too useless. Elder Yuan Tainan, now that Qian Guangxuan has been taken away, what should we do next? Seeing that their plan had failed, the meteorite lord revealed a serious expression and inquired about Yuan Tianan's future plans. When the crowd heard this, they all looked at Yuan Tainan, waiting for his next order. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Yuan Tainan pondered for a moment and said with a cold expression, "Since Qian Guangxuan has escaped, there is no need for us to stay here. Let's continue looking for the treasure." Seeing Yuan Tianan's decision, everyone no longer hesitated and left the hall with Yuan Tainan. At this time, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan suddenly appeared in a pile of ruins not far from the old city tower. "Junior brother Mo, it's all thanks to you for saving me this time." After coming out of the transfer gate, Qian Guangxuan had a grateful expression and hurriedly thanked Mo Qingyun. Qian Guangxuan clearly remembered that ever since he met Mo Qingyun had helped him time and time again. This kindness was undoubtedly repaid. "Senior brother Qian, there is no need to say these things between us." In response to Qian Guangxuan's words of gratitude, Mo Qingyun smiled and waved his hand. He helped Qian Guangxuan to sit down and said, "I will help you break the seal in your body and help you recover your cultivation." "Thank you, junior brother Mo." Qian Guangxuan didn't refuse Mo Qingyun's suggestion and allowed Mo Qingyun to help him recover his cultivation. Immediately, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and began to break the seal in Qian Guangxuan's body. Because Yuan Tainan was at the great circle of the immortal infant stage, the seal he set was very strong and Mo Qingyun couldn't break it easily. Half an hour later, under Mo Qingyun's unremitting efforts, he finally broke the seal and helped Qian Guangxuan recover his cultivation. Seeing that Qian Guangxuan's cultivation had recovered, Mo Qingyun withdrew his hands and closed his eyes to recover his spiritual energy. About a quarter of an hour later, Mo Qingyun's consumed spirit power was restored, and he withdrew from his cultivation. "Junior brother Mo, how's your investigation in the hematopoietic base?" Seeing that Mo Qingyun had stopped cultivating, Qian Guangxuan showed a curious expression and hurriedly asked Mo Qingyun. Hearing Qian Guangxuan's question, Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious and he said in a deep voice, "The strength of this hematopoietic fortress is very strong. There are many experts at the immortal core and immortal infant stages. Among them, the strongest is the dark fire dragon tiger, whose cultivation has already reached the great circle of the immortal infant stage." After hearing Mo Qingyun's explanation, Qian Guangxuan's expression immediately turned serious, and he was worried for Mo Qingyun in his heart. To put it bluntly, Mo Qingyun entering the hematopoietic fortress alone was like trespassing into a tiger's den. In this case, what should we do next? Leave here immediately and return to the immortal palace? After knowing the strength of the hematopoietic base, Qian Guangxuan showed a worried expression and didn't want to stay in this space any longer. However, after hearing Qian Guangxuan's question, Mo Qingyun slightly raised the corner of his mouth and said with a faint smile, "Since we're already here, how can we leave so easily? Besides, we have to at least teach Yuan Xie and the others a lesson." Then what are you going to do? Qian Guangxuan was puzzled, and was very curious about what Mo Qingyun wanted to do. Seeing Qian Guangxuan's expression, Mo Qingyun smirked and then said to Qian Guangxuan, Senior brother Qian, what do you think will happen if I lead the people of the 3 major families to the hematopoietic base? Haha, that's a good idea. After hearing Mo Qingyun's plan, Qian Guangxuan immediately revealed a look of pleasant surprise and spoke excitedly. At this moment, he seemed to see the scene of the 3 major families fighting the dark fire dragon tiger and the others. If that's the case, let's get started. After telling Qian Guangxuan his idea, Mo Qingyun didn't want to waste any more time and was ready to go to the 3 major families of the dark fire dragon tiger. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to take action, Qian Guangxuan showed a troubled expression and said, But where are we going to find Yuan Xie and the others now? Mo Qingyun had expected Qian Guangxuan to say this. After hearing this, he smiled mysteriously and said, You don't have to worry about that. When I saved you, I left a mark on the guard of the stone room. I can use the mark to find them. Chapter 1263. After about 2 hours, Mo Qingyun finally saw Yuan Xie and the others as he followed them all the way. In order to escape when they arrived, Mo Qingyun did not bring Qian Guangxuan with him. He arranged for him to stay in a safe place. The direction that Yuan Xie and the others were heading in just happened to bypass the area of the hematopoietic base. It was unknown whether it was intentional or just a coincidence. Seeing Yuan Xie and the others in front of him, Mo Qingyun did not stop and quickly rushed towards them. Heavenly Flame's sky-breaking halberd. After a few flashes, Mo Qingyun came close to Yuan Xie and the others. He waved the immortal burning halberd and slashed it towards them. 1,000-meter-long fire dragon halberd radiance gushed out from the immortal burning halberd and rushed towards Yuan Xie and the others. When Mo Qingyun attacked with his halberd, Yuan Xie and the others immediately noticed his presence. Mo Qingyun actually took the initiative to attack them? Could it be that Mo Qingyun was tired of living? Could it be that Mo Qingyun did not know that they had experts in the great circle of the immortal infant stage who could instantly kill Mo Qingyun on the spot? At this moment, Yuan Xie and the others were dumbfounded. They did not understand what Mo Qingyun was thinking. Humph. We were worried about not being able to find you. You actually delivered yourself to us. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who was not far from them, Yuan Xie and the others sneered and rushed towards Mo Qingyun. In their opinion, no matter what Mo Qingyun was thinking, this was a good opportunity for them to kill Mo Qingyun. Seeing that Yuan Xie and the others were rushing towards him, Mo Qingyun's lips curled into a mocking smile. He turned around and rushed towards the hematopoietic base. His demonic shadow was traceless and his body moved according to his thoughts. Although Mo Qingyun's cultivation level was not high, his walking speed was extremely fast. Every step he took covered a distance of 10,000 miles, and this was after Mo Qingyun had slowed down. Otherwise, he would have run even faster. Seeing Mo Qingyun's fleeing speed, Yuan Tainan and the others were all shocked. They were greatly shocked by Mo Qingyun's performance. Mo Qingyun's fleeing speed was actually faster than Yuan Tainan and the others. No wonder Mo Qingyun dared to sneak attack them. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Yuan Tainan and the others' killing intent towards Mo Qingyun immediately became much stronger. He couldn't let Mo Qingyun continue to grow. Otherwise, there would be no end of trouble in the future. Mo Qingyun, you won't be able to escape. I don't believe that the spiritual energy in your body is enough to last until you break free from us. You don't know your limits. Since you've delivered yourself to death, then just obediently wait for death. Mo Qingyun, prepare to die. Today we will settle this once and for all. Seeing Mo Qingyun fleeing in front of them, Yuan Tainan and the others chased after Mo Qingyun and yelled angrily at him. As for Yuan Tainan and the others' performance, Mo Qingyun only smiled faintly. He didn't pay too much attention to them. What he needed to do now was to lure Yuan Tainan and the others to the blood-making fort and let them fight with Xiao Honghu and the others. After a short while, Mo Qingyun and the others arrived in front of the blood-making fort. Arriving in front of the blood-making fort, Mo Qingyun stopped in his tracks and waited for Yuan Tainan and the others to come closer. There's no way forward. Let's see where you can run now. Seeing Mo Qingyun stop in front of them, Yuan Tainan and the others immediately became proud. They felt that Mo Qingyun had become a turtle in a jar. However, what happened next made them all widen their eyes in shock. Mo Qingyun had disappeared. Boom! Before Yuan Tainan and the others could regain their senses, a deafening sound suddenly rang out from the fort in front of them. Not long after the sound rang out, several figures flew out from the fort. They radiated with shocking presences. That's right, these figures were Xiao Honghu and the others. A bunch of reckless people. How dare you behave so atrociously in my territory? Looking at Yuan Tainan and the others outside the fort, Xiao Honghu roared furiously with a twisted expression. He said furiously, "Guys, kill them immediately. Don't let a single one of them go." Recently, Xiao Honghu had been very angry. The thieves from a few days ago had yet to be caught, and today, another group of people had come to cause trouble. Was he, Xiao Honghu, so easy to bully? In the past 1,000 years, other than having his bloodline forcefully modified by a tiger expert, he, Xiao Honghu, had never suffered such a setback as he had in the past few days. As a result, if he didn't teach Yuan Tainan and the others a lesson, it would be difficult for him to get rid of his anger. We've been tricked. Seeing the appearance of Xiao Honghu and the others, Yuan Tainan and the others' faces twitched. A strong sense of uneasiness grew in their hearts. Looking at this scene, as long as they weren't idiots, they knew that they had been tricked by Mo Qingyun. Damn it, Mo Qingyun, I will cut you into pieces. Thinking about how he had been tricked by Mo Qingyun, Yuan Tainan immediately gritted his teeth. He wanted nothing more than to skin Mo Qingyun and pull out his tendons. However, the situation right now didn't allow Yuan Tainan to think too much. He hurriedly attacked Xiao Honghu and the others. Seeing that Yuan Tainan and the others were fighting, Mo Qingyun smiled in satisfaction and snuck into the fort. Entering the fort again, Mo Qingyun was very familiar with the way. He didn't make any turns and went straight to the altar. When he arrived at the entrance of the altar, Mo Qingyun didn't stop. He directly used a teleportation gate and entered the interior of the altar. After arriving at the interior of the altar, Mo Qingyun summoned Heixian, Iron Wing, Savage Beast, Mo Zai, Mo and the others from the 5 directional towers. After summoning everyone, Mo Qingyun gave them some instructions before attacking the formation of the blood pool together. When Mo Qingyun attacked the barrier of the blood pool, what he didn't expect was that the formation that Xiao Honghu had set up at the entrance of the altar actually isolated the movements within the altar. This way, they didn't have to worry about attacking the barrier of the blood pool. Bang! 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 Under the combined attacks of Mo Qingyun and the others, the barriers of the blood pool were destroyed one after another. The blood in the blood pool was completely exposed. Seeing that the barrier of the blood pool had been destroyed, Mo Qingyun obviously didn't waste any time. He immediately began collecting the blood in the blood pool. Seeing the blood being collected one by one, Mo Qingyun smiled in surprise and joy. He sighed. If Xiao Honghu knew that the formation he set up at the entrance of the altar would have such an effect, he'd probably vomit blood from regret. Mo Qingyun did not stop. As he attacked the barrier of the blood pool furiously, he said to the others beside him, "Yuan Xie and the others might not be able to last for too long. As a result, we need to hurry and collect as much blood as possible." Mo Qingyun knew very well that Yuan Tainan and the others would definitely think of a way to retreat if they knew that they had been set up. They wouldn't fight to the death with Xiao Honghu and the others. Once Yuan Tainan and the others retreated, Xiao Honghu and the others would return as well. Mo Qingyun wouldn't be able to continue collecting blood. Chapter 1264. They're back already? Mo Qingyun was slightly startled when he sensed Xiao Honghu and the others' auras. He immediately stopped what he was doing. Then, he sent He Xian and the others into the 5-directional pagoda and left the altar using the concealment door. Although Xiao Honghu and the others had returned very quickly, his harvest this time was already astonishing. Although they didn't manage to empty the altar of blood, they still managed to take away about 70% of the blood in the altar. As for the remaining 30%, it was the blood of some weak god race members. It wasn't particularly valuable. After leaving the altar, Mo Qingyun didn't stop and directly left the blood-making fortress. After leaving the blood-making fortress, Mo Qingyun went straight to meet up with Qian Guangxuan. A quarter of an hour later, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at Qian Guangxuan's residence. Junior brother Mo, is everything settled? Seeing Mo Qingyun's arrival, Qian Guangxuan looked expectant and asked about Mo Qingyun's situation. Yes, it's all settled. Mo Qingyun nodded with a faint smile. He revealed a joyful expression and said, "It went smoother than I expected. Apart from letting Yuan Tainan and the others fight the dark fire dragon tiger, I also entered the blood-making fortress and obtained many good things." "Oh, hurry up and tell me. What good things did you get?" Qian Guangxuan raised his eyebrows and revealed a curious expression. He hurriedly asked Mo Qingyun. "No hurry. Let's find a secluded place and I'll tell you the details." Mo Qingyun didn't immediately answer Qian Guangxuan's question. Instead, he told him to go ahead. Okay. Qian Guangxuan nodded at Mo Qingyun's suggestion and left with Mo Qingyun. In his opinion, Mo Qingyun was in a hurry to leave because he was worried that Xiao Honghu and the others would chase after them. After a short while, Mo Qingyun and Qian Guangxuan arrived at a dilapidated fortress. This place was vast but sparsely populated, so there shouldn't be anyone coming here. When they arrived at this dilapidated fortress, Mo Qingyun no longer kept them in suspense and told them everything that had happened. Of course, regarding the existence of He Xian and the others, Mo Qingyun did not reveal too much. He only mentioned it briefly. After all, He Xian and the others were also of the divine race. Moreover, their bloodline was extremely powerful. It was not appropriate for them to reveal themselves in front of others. After listening to Mo Qingyun's explanation, Qian Guangxuan's expression immediately became excited. He was looking forward to the god race's blood. After telling the story, Mo Qingyun took out a simple bottle and handed it to Qian Guangxuan. "Senior brother Qian, this bottle contains the blood of the god race. If you refine it, it should be able to advance your cultivation further." Looking at the god race's blood that Mo Qingyun handed over, Qian Guangxuan did not stand on ceremony and directly raised his hand to receive it. In these days, he had gone through life and death with Mo Qingyun. He also knew Mo Qingyun's character. Mo Qingyun gave him the god race's blood. This meant that he treated him as a brother. If he were to be courteous, it would make him seem pretentious. After receiving the god race's blood from Mo Qingyun, Qian Guangxuan immediately began to refine it, preparing to use it to advance his cultivation. Qian Guangxuan's current thoughts were very simple. That was to refine the god race's blood as soon as possible and advance his cultivation to take revenge on Yuan Xie and the others. Seeing Qian Guangxuan take the god race's blood to refine, Mo Qingyun also took out some god race's blood and began to refine it. Of course, before Mo Qingyun refined the god race's blood, he also gave a portion of the god race's blood to He Xian and the others so that they could also refine the god race's blood to advance their cultivation. In the following days, as Mo Qingyun and the others refined the god race's blood, time passed by quietly. 10 days later, as Qian Guangxuan refined the god race's blood with all his might, his aura suddenly increased by more than a few times. Qian Guangxuan's cultivation had broken through. Sensing the change in Qian Guangxuan's aura, Mo Qingyun withdrew from his cultivation and looked at Qian Guangxuan with a slightly surprised expression. Mo Qingyun did not expect that Qian Guangxuan's cultivation would directly break through to the immortal core stage with the help of the god race's blood. This increase was a little too big. After briefly observing Qian Guangxuan's situation, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and continued to refine the god race's blood to advance his cultivation. As he continued to refine the god race's blood, Mo Qingyun's cultivation increased rapidly. Soon, he reached the peak of the 5th level of the celestial realm. After raising his cultivation to the peak of the 5th level of the celestial realm, Mo Qingyun did not stop there. Instead, he continued to refine the god race's blood essence. After an unknown amount of time, Mo Qingyun's aura suddenly entered a whole new level. Mo Qingyun's cultivation also broke through and entered the heavenly immortal stage. After breaking through to the heavenly immortal stage, Mo Qingyun did not stop cultivating. Instead, he continued to refine the god race's blood to stabilize his cultivation. Just like that, a few more days passed before Mo Qingyun finally stopped cultivating. After these few days of cultivation, not only did Mo Qingyun stabilize his cultivation, but he also raised his cultivation to the peak of the early stage of the immortal fog stage. After withdrawing from his cultivation, Mo Qingyun released his soul power to sense Qian Guangxuan's cultivation beside him. After sensing for a while, Mo Qingyun found that Qian Guangxuan's cultivation had reached the peak of the early stage of the immortal core stage. Although he did not directly enter the middle stage of the immortal core stage, he was only a step away. He believed that he would be able to successfully break through soon. After checking Qian Guangxuan's cultivation, Mo Qingyun looked at the situation of He Xian and the others. He found that the few of them had improved even more. Now, He Xian, Iron Wing, and Savage Beast's cultivation had already reached the peak of the immortal core stage. They were only a step away from the immortal infant stage. Although Mo Mo's improvement was not as great as He Xian and the others, he had also entered the heavenly immortal stage. Like Mo Qingyun, he was at the peak of the early stage of the immortal fog stage. Xia's cultivation was originally too low. Therefore, even with the help of the god race's blood, she was still only at the 3rd level of the heaven-human stage. What surprised Mo Qingyun the most was the extent of Mo Zai's improvement. She had actually broken through to the immortal infant stage. This situation was beyond Mo Qingyun's expectations. Although Mo Zai's cultivation had entered the early stage of the immortal core stage after refining Lu He's flesh and blood, it was still a little too fast for her to break through to the immortal infant stage. Of course, Mo Qingyun did not object to Mo Zai's rapid improvement. This way, when he fought with others, Mo Zai would be able to help him. Since everyone's cultivation has improved, it's time to find Yuan Xie and the others for revenge. Seeing his current strength, Mo Qingyun was unwilling to wait any longer. He decided to settle the grudge between Yuan Xie and Yuan Xie immediately. With this thought in mind, Mo Qingyun stood up and said to Qian Guangxuan beside him, "Senior brother Qian, let's go. I'll take you to collect some interest." "Junior brother Mo, could it be that you want to?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qian Guangxuan's expression immediately changed. He could guess what Mo Qingyun wanted to do. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.